Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another game of international rugby. The tie is very wonky, but this game certainly won't be. England versus Australia. This is the type of contest that is pretty unpredictable. We saw England last week take on the All Blacks, and honestly, they deserved to win that game at times. They were a lot better when it came to the breakdown, when it came to managing the game. And now they're going up against the Australians, who have a little bit of unknown flair at number 13, a debut for Joseph Suaalii, which a lot of people are talking about. Maybe more than this whole Australian side itself. Everyone is looking at that one player, see what type of impact that he can bring. But looking through at this English starting lineup, pretty similar to what we saw between England and the All Blacks. Ellis Genge, Jamie George, and Will Stewart as the front row, Maro Itoje and George Martin in the locking duo, and then Chandler cutting himself at number 6. He had a great game up against the All Blacks last week. Tom Curry at 7 and Ben Earl as the number 8. Now, he was a little bit more quiet, did a lot of the little things right, Ben Earl, but he normally, when he's his most dangerous, is really everywhere. In the action, you can see him all the time. He celebrates everything that happens out there on the field like it's won the match. So that's the kind of energy that you will expect to see from the English. In this game, Ben Spencer and Marcus Smith will once again be that 19 combination. Now, I personally think that they took Marcus Smith off a little bit too early in the last game, and I feel like in that last 15 minutes or so, they could have really used his skill and the way that he plays. Henry Slade and Ollie Lawrence, they will be the midfield combo with Tommy Freeman, Emmanuel Fiwa-Bosso out on the right wing, and then George Furbank at number 15. Looking through at this Australian side, Angus Bell, Matt Faisler, and Taniela Tupou will be the front row. Nick Frost and Jeremy Williams, once again lacking a little bit of experience when it comes to the locking duo, so I'm curious to see how they go up against Maro Itoje. Rob Valentini at number 6, Fraser McWright as the number 7, and Harry Wilson at number 8. And this is another curious battle, whether or not these three can really muscle up with England, because this English loose ball trio, they like getting in breakdowns, they like disrupting, and that's something that Australia have to be prepared for. They have to protect Jake Gordon, who is starting as the number 9, and Noel Alessio on the outside at 10, so it's a battle of two young fly halves in this matchup. Lena Cattell and Joseph Suaalii at number 13. There were debates of whether or not he would be a fullback, whether he'd be on the wing, centre, whereabouts he could be in the back line. No one really knew, but Joe Schmidt not only has given him that centre jersey, but he's given him the start up against top opposition in England. I'm very curious to see how he goes for his international debut. Out on the left wing, it is Dylan Peach, number 14, Andrew Callaway, and number 15, Tom Wright, to close out this Australian side. In the chat we have got there, good morning as well. That was, tell you what, there's a lot more chat than I thought there was. I better go through very quickly. We have got there, I also want Australia to win, says Chad. They must cause an upset. Never have ever wanted Australia to win so much. Must be the culture. Let's go, mate. Says Mr. All In. And rooting for the Aussies up the south. Says Sakabulla. Of course, the All Blacks managing to get themselves the win for the south earlier on. Few north versus south battles still to come over the weekend. Fiwa-Bosso to get 2 tries. Says Reeves there. Hello from Bite. Welcome in. And we have got there, how did the cricket go, Hamish? Not very well, to be honest. I injured myself pretty badly. Dropped a catch as well, which ended up costing us about 50 or 60 extra runs for the 9th wicket partnership. And then we lost by 7 runs in the end. Or in fact, no, sorry, 6 runs. So it was close, but there were a lot of runs scored throughout that day. Just none by me. I didn't end up batting. No one likes to see the English win a game, but sadly I can't see the Aussies making a game of it. Says Juan Pierre Bosch. And that's the thing, like this Australian side under Joe Schmidt, we haven't actually seen them properly travel. Like, yes, we've seen them play home and away games in terms of the Rugby Championship, but I don't think we've seen a proper away tour kind of feel for the Aussies as of yet. Like, when they were playing in Argentina, they still had some good moments in those 2 games, but we also have to remember they also lost by 40 when they were ahead by 20, which just tells us that the second half is going to be very unpredictable between these two sides. Completely pointless game. 2 of the worst teams in world rugby. Stephen, you're just a negative Nancy, aren't you? Every single week you come on here and you say, I hate rugby, I hate England. I feel bad for you. find a hobby. We have got their shirt and tie, says Blues Nate. All Blacks XB versus Georgia, says Manny M. That is taking place next week, isn't it? Oh, sorry, next night. It's going to be tomorrow. Ben Earl, the attendant, a £40,000 school, and became good rugby player. Crazy. Says Cats and L. True Hamish, are you doing GoPro for the cricket? Not so much this year. It's a little bit trickier because at times I will be playing upper grade, and I don't think they really want a camera in their face. So it is going to be a bit of a mix and match in terms of them. I hate Stephen, says Martin. And we have got there Stephen the Monkey Troll. I like rugby, just don't see the point in England having a team. Well, then what's the point in you being here, Stephen? Because all you do each and every week, like I say, is just complain about that you don't like English rugby, yet you've probably watched more games of England rugby than most people who like English rugby. Yep, understandable, says Blues. No, I have faith in Razor. Once again, says Manny M. We will look through at the bench for these two sides, ladies and gentlemen. England, they've got Luke Cowan-Dickie, Finn Baxter, and Dan Cole, a hugely experienced man. Of course, we learnt after that All Blacks game that Joe Marler has hung up the boots, so he will not be there for the English anymore. But, of course, he'll still be a personality around the game. I would think for the English, perhaps sideline commentator or in the box, although that would be very risky, and you never quite know what's going to come out of that man's mouth. Zekwe at number 19 with Alex Dombrandt at 20, then Randall Ford and Slate Home will be the back replacements. Australia, Brandon Payanga Mosa, James Slipper and Alan Alalatoa, then Lukan Salakai Lotto and Langy Gleeson as the Ford replacements, and then also Tate McDermott, Ben Donaldson and Max Jorgensen did get himself a debut during the Rugby Championship, I think it was, or it might have even been in July. That's the thing. Joe Schmidt has tried a lot of players throughout his time as the coach, and that is one of the reasons why we are seeing the likes of Joseph Suali'i getting the chance here. Joe Schmidt enjoys giving those guys an opportunity to show what they can do, and there's still plenty of matches coming up for the Australians in their tour. They have got the Welsh next week, Scotland the week after, and then Ireland on the 1st of December. And then in terms of what England have got coming up, of course, last week, they did take on the All Blacks, and they were able to get very close, but just not quite over the line, 24 points to 22. Next week, they will be playing South Africa, and then the week after that, close out their November internationals, they'll be taking on the Japanese. We have got their Aussies bouncing, and we have got there in the chat as well. Time on the interchange seems to be better, Manny M. Says Mr. All-In and Morning Kiwi Lads, just open me eyes. IRC Blues Nate. Up to you guys. An opinion on Black Cats versus India. Extremely good tour for New Zealand. Like, no one expected them to win. I would say no one expected them to win one game, let alone all three. Like, the first time in about 30 years they have won one, and now they've got the best ever tour result for a travelling side playing 3 or more matches. Clean sweeping this Indian side. So you'll be interesting to see how they go in Australia now in terms of India, and then New Zealand moving on to take on the Bazball in New Zealand. And afternoon, everyone, says Jimbo. Would be surprised by Soali'i, IQ and defence. I mean, international level, that will be X Factor, says Mr. All-In. And of course, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to adjust, doesn't it? Because we saw it for the likes of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. He never really found his feet in rugby union. And before he really gave himself a shot, he already jumped back to rugby league. Now, Australia have spent a lot of money on Joseph Suali'i, but as we know, Australian rugby has spent a lot of money on things that they shouldn't have in the past as well. So we'll have to wait and see if this is a good investment and whether maybe it continues to bring a few more league guys into the rugby union scene. Does India have a rugby team? They do. I think they're about 80th in the world, maybe a little bit higher, lower. I'm really not too sure, but they do have a team that exists. And we have got their not happy work all day yesterday, missed the AB's game. And we have got there in the chat, England by 15 to 20 points. Australia haven't improved enough to beat England. England 28, Australia 13. And the other side of things is we haven't seen Australia in action since the Rugby Championship. England had a game last week. They've been playing in the Gallagher Premiership. So they've had some sort of, I guess you could say form, but also some sort of minutes heading into this matchup. Whereas Australia are pretty much going in blind. They've had no experience out there on the field for a little while. How the F does Lolesio still get picked? Yeah, I did expect them maybe to go with Donaldson for this game. Just seems to be able to control it a little bit more. And the pack will be tested, says Mr. All-In. And since it's not the AB's I got you on split screen with the game on my TV. So here's Jake Toa in there as well. But we have got the moment silence at the moment. We have got that bad team against the bad team, says Michelle. So who's considered the worst out of the two? Michelle. And how was the cricket, Amish? It didn't go that well. I ended up injuring myself, sadly. But yeah, it was decent. Like, it started off very warm. Then it looked like it was going to rain. Then the wind picked up. Then it got cold. And then it got hot again. So a kind of weather of all days, I guess you could say, in one. The All Blacks got drunk on Guinness last night, says Manny M. Sonny Bill was the league winning league convert. That's true. Like, and there haven't been many that have completely just dominated when they've switched. And that is what they want from Joseph Suaalii. How much longer till kickoff? When does the match start, says Daniel. And Eugene, we're currently about 4 minutes away. So we've got a bit of God Save the King. Then we've got the Australian national anthem. And then we will be underway for this matchup. So it is scheduled to kick off in 4 minutes' time. Twickenham, once again, looks pretty packed for this game. And I go, Mum Psycho, the Brits say blue. Says, cool story, bro. England are number 3 in the world, says Mr. Marmite. And who going for MVP? I'll be absolutely honest. Like, England are favourites for this game. Australia haven't had any game time, but I don't know who's going to win this one. Like, I assume it should be England by around, like, theoretically between 7 and 10, which is very specific. So maybe 5 to 10 is the better odds. Hopefully they play all the Australian anthem. Yeah, it's pretty hard to cut it off halfway through. It's got more than one verse, which they didn't realise for New Zealand's. And go Australia, Suaalii, says Liga there. And don't make that face, Hamish, says Mr. Marmite. I'm not sure what face you are talking about, unfortunately. I predict All Blacks to beat France next week, says Manny M. Oh, it's good that you're starting to get behind them again. It wasn't too long ago that you were saying that they were doing poorly and that it wasn't looking good for them. Australia, they've all got the poppies on the jerseys. You know what face you made? I honestly do not. Like that one, maybe. Were the Irish overconfident last night, or were the ABs better? Says Sakili. I mean, overall, like, I know that this is going to sound harsh, and I don't mean it to, but it was a bit poor from both sides. Like, there were far too many handling errors, even though it was raining. Yes, you can blame the conditions a little bit, but, like, well, we have 10 scrums, maybe even more, so it was a very stop-start kind of game, whereas, like, that game in the Rugby World Cup quarterfinal, there were times where we had just play after play and phase after phase, which kind of built up the tension in the game. We never really got that tension build for the rematch, sadly. But, you know, sometimes that happens. Sometimes the weather just doesn't quite work out. Something doesn't seem right while you got the suit on, says Amish, says Mr. All. And it is still considered a big game between these two sides, England versus Australia. Like, I was still dressed up for it at the end of the day. It was the final in 2003. It's a little while ago, but both of these sides have a World Cup under their belt. And we have got their, 13, says Kieran there. We have got the Irish had no energy, and we're totally rudderless. 134 pence. Oh, 13 pence. Okay, I see where the 13 comes in. He always has a suit. It's called professionalism, says Jake. And also we've got their big gloves from, for the Irish bands, only played the Māori side of the anthem, straight into the haka, ka pai Irish whānau. I predict that England will thump the Aussies 28 points to 14, says Stefan there. And have a feeling this is going to be a cracker, says Mr. All. And I hope it is. I feel like both of these sides have the potential of putting on a really good game here. So the biggest thing is just get that ball in hand, because both of these sides have world-class backlines. And with Marcus Smith at 10, I feel like he can really free up some of these men on the outside. And sorry, Amish, what's your prediction? Honestly, like, this is one of those games, I see the odds. I see the Australia $5.50 underdogs, and, you know, maybe they'll play like that, but I could see it being quite close. Maybe, you know, 3 tries to 4 or something. I don't think we're going to get a heavily penalty 3-point base kind of game between these sides. It just depends on the discipline, doesn't it, of both of these ones. So Lee Innan hasn't played a Super Rugby game. Yeah, it's a big gamble that they've decided to take. Give the young players a chance to step up, says David. If the ABs win all the European matches, they go top to the rankings table. I don't necessarily know if that's completely true. I think that South Africa will still get some sort of points up against England next week. I don't think they can gain much from the Welsh game, but I guess the same as what New Zealand have for the Italian game. So it depends on if England win here. Because if England lose here, then their ranking won't be as strong up against South Africa. So then, of course, South Africa don't get as many points. Australia give us the upset, says Dylan in there as well. But we are almost underway for this contest, ladies and gentlemen. What's your opinion about Satiti Hemi? Very good player. I'm not sure about whether or not they should leave him at 6 or whether they should just make that switch that everyone wants to see, which is a reshuffle in the loose forward trio. But either way, like, he's gone from a guy that Razor only put in because of Blackadder's injury to now pretty much saying, you're not kicking me out of the team. And if it wasn't for Satiti in a couple of these close games, I don't think the All Blacks would have got the job done. But we are now ready to go, ladies and gentlemen, for this matchup. Marcus Smith kicking off from left to right for Australia versus England. Oh, that's taken a man out in the air from George Martin to start us off, but luckily they've decided to play on. We have got the arm from Ancestors. Says, good story, bro, and D-Mac played well last night, as did Talia. Jordan answered all questions about him being able to play fullback. That's the thing, like, McKenzie, I thought overall had a really solid game. He controlled the back line, he got most of his kicks over. Yet I've still seen a lot of people saying that Beauden Barrett is the 10 option. And, like, I can't see how you can say that after comparing the two games, the one that we saw up against the Irish and the one that we saw up against the English. You know, like, there's a big difference in the way that they both play. And I feel like McKenzie at the moment suits, like, the plans. Because Jordan, when Beauden Barrett's at 10, just gets caught out of position all the time because he's chasing those little chips and whatnot. But currently 25 metres out, England in possession here. Going off to the left-hand side, Tommy Freeman moves inside of the 22. Spencer goes across to Martin. And looks like Williams almost got himself the turnover, but just can't quite hang on to that ball enough. Marcus Smith, big shot coming in on Curry. Currently, we haven't seen Joseph Suali'i have to make a tackle as of yet, but I think he's going to have to very soon. Used to covering. In fact, he's actually playing more of a 15 role at the moment in terms of his positioning on the field. Him and Gordon have dropped back for covering. What would it cost for guys get live feed for you guys to get live feed to show us? Have you ever inquired, says Kim? So I know that when it comes to kind of international licensing, you're talking in, like, normally for Sky and whatnot, it's hard to find information on it, but I believe it's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, because also the other side of it is they pretty much lock in exclusive rights. So the other way that I'd have to do it is to move to a country that doesn't have rugby rights and then pretty much have to do it from there, if that makes sense, because Sky here in New Zealand pretty much say no one else can broadcast the game from our location/country. Same with Australia, with Stan. But it's going to be the scrum here for the Australians. Just a little mistake being made from England. 900 kgs for Australia and 941 for the English. First scrum has gone down. Thank you very much, Arthur, for your generosity there with the channel membership. And Mackenzie way better, says Kieran. And I'm glad to see you up, I think that is, from Ben. Welcome in. And okay, I'll let Hamish negotiate the rights. And just join, what did I miss? So England have had all the attacks so far. It's only 3 minutes in, though, and now Australia are getting their first scrum inside of their 22. We're there. Good day, mate. Can't wait for the South Africa game tomorrow. Says Pubs to South Africa. And Roygaard versus the Pont. What a battle that will be next week. Says Manny M. It'll be interesting to see if they're going to make that straight switch. Like, whether Beauden Barrett and Roygaard are going to be the starting combo, or whether they will keep McKenzie out there. Because I think Ratama, that's a good kick from Lolosio, manages to actually bounce it into the English half and out. But, yeah, it's one of those situations that they can't afford to make too many massive changes, because at the end of the day, France are still going to be a very hard side to beat. What do you use to watch the games during these streams? So normally I'm on Sky Sport. So Sky Sport now, just because I'm through my PC and it's easier. Suoli starting low. He has not touched the ball. He has not made a tackle, but we have seen him defending further back. So he's almost defending more like a fullback at times by the looks of it for the Australians, although now he's about to have to make a tackle. Marcus Smith goes with the grubber in behind. That is a bit of space. Sits up for Lawrence. Poor from the Aussies, and they've left the gap for the English to run through. Spencer on hot attack now for England. Jamie George gets the offload to Genja, gets the offload to Curry, who gets the offload to Fiuai Boso. Backline movement, and Chandler Cunning himself runs it in for the first try of the contest for the English. Just like last week, he is celebrating, although this time he's celebrating a try rather than a knock-on. And it is a great start to the match for the English. It's that kick in behind from Marcus Smith. A lot of space in behind. And then it sits up for Lawrence. He just goes through. At odds on getting him sin bin for a shoulder charge. Probably high. Like, to be honest, like normally we see... I mean, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, he took a while to work out how the breakdowns worked in rugby union, even though he had played before. Couldn't listen to Sky New Zealand. Game commentary are good. The analysis panel are bad. Says Kieran, D-Mac was brilliant. But it's one game. I'm hoping he backs it up in the next few weeks. Says Studs. Yeah, I do think McKenzie's performance sometimes does solely rely on how good the guy on his inside is going. You know, because Ratama in that game up against the Irish, like a lot of people have been very quick to point the finger and say he had a terrible game. But we mentioned it in the review, and all you got to do is just look back and see a few of the breakdowns. And every breakdown, Ireland threw one guy in to disrupt. Not in a illegal way, like I said earlier on, but just enough to bump him around a little bit, have the All Blacks forwards shifting, so then Ratama was hesitant to go, and that's something that sides don't really do up against the Irish, which is why Ireland's ruck speed is one of the best in world rugby. I think it's the quickest out of everyone. Get Bodie to come off the bench for more depth. I agree. I feel like having an experienced head like Bowden Barrett off the bench can be massive for the All Blacks. Congratulations on your win. Ireland discipline was really poor. I'm not taking anything away from the powerful ABs, says Nico. I should mention that kick from Marcus Smith did miss, so 5-0 at the moment for the English after 6 minutes. I'm back across to the left-hand side. Hit high was Harry Wilson, or at least round the chest. Gordon. Back across, Nolalesio tries the chip. Oh, Ikatau's been hit twice by the English. Got checked once, then got checked away to the other side, but Callaway tried to get the turnover. He's been penalised though. Hands were on the ground. And Marcus Smith taking the quick tap, gets it out wide to Tommy Freeman. Oh, okay. Harry Wilson was still asking the question to the ref, so the ref didn't see the quick tap, I don't think. What's up with the scoreboard changes before the try? Says Shane, that is just due to the slight delay that Sky Sport now has in New Zealand. So Kane to start or impact in the bench. See, that's the thing. Up against Japan, you'd say he was better in the starting side. But up against the Irish, I'll have to rewatch the game because it's always difficult to see the little things that players are doing. Overall, the commentator said Sam Cane had a really good game. I didn't really see it, but then I was probably looking at different things in terms of for the commentary side of things. You're normally looking at who the tacklers are, and you're not getting to look at what's happening so much in the rucks to the same extent as you want to. Now, that's a good run from Angus Bell. Fraser McRae up to the halfway line here for the Australians, who will now have another attacking chance. Jake Gordon going across to Nolalesio. Joseph Suoli'i has his first touch at international level. Gets it back across to Angus Bell with the offload. McKenzie just needs to concentrate on his defensive game. He's still a bit flaky there, says Kieran. He can get caught out a little bit, but then I think that's also in some cases when they have, the saying is too many chefs in the kitchen, or too many cooks in the kitchen, I think is the actual saying. But sometimes they just don't know who is defending from where. I feel like that does really hurt them. What's the odds in this game? This game, Australia came in as about $6 underdogs, and I assume they're up to probably about 7 at the moment. Roigard or Ratama to start against France. See, that's the really tricky question, right? Because, after that last game, it's very easy to say Roigard, but then at the same time, remembering what happened right at the end, you could say that Roigard's momentum at the end helped them. It looks like Australia will go for the 3 points in. Olalisio getting the opportunity to add his first points of the day from about 43 metres out. This game's slowly getting into it. I feel like both sides have had a couple good moments. Reset, says Mr. Orlin. Stop talking about the New Zealand game, says Laurie. I mean, we have been asked about it quite a bit on this one. And we've also had a few stoppages from this contest as well. Like, so this one, Olalisio, he is going to take the full 60 seconds to line up this kick and just give his side a little bit of an opportunity to catch their breath. In fact, he's going to go with 20 seconds left. Good stuff from Lalisio. Still almost missed it, but it has snuck over the left-hand side. And so Bodie Roigard Tuipulotu coming off the bench. I think so. Vai had a better game up against Ireland, so that was good news for them just after the English one. It is a New Zealand pod, says Trajan. And should Geordie, with his big boot, take more kicking responsibilities during open play for variety? Well, they used to use him a little bit, but I don't know. They don't seem to go to that anymore, do they? They seem to always look for McKenzie. Jordan's done a little bit of kicking, but doesn't quite have that same distance. But Gordon has the ball now. Moving from Jordan to Gordon. Going across field. Oh, Callaway does very well to hang on to that one, but then unfortunately fumbles as he hits the ground. At least I'm not talking about South Africa, says Jake. Now Jamie George, another gap opening up. And good tackle made by Fraser McWright. Spencer goes across there to Furbank. They're currently 40 metres out. Smith finds Lawrence. Was tackled low by Rob Valentini. Now Smith has option. Shows and goes. Got 3, but he steps through. 5 metres out from the try line now. Spencer is right there. Ready to give it off to Chandler. Cunningham South. 2 metres out. Spencer goes short to George Martin. Somehow dragged down by Nick Frost, but we're not too far away from the English getting another. Genge held up just short of the line, but the Australians have to let the ball come out. Spencer shows as if he was going. Genge is just half an inch short, and he's actually held up there. And it will be the goal line dropout. In fact, it's Will Stewart. They already had the advantage, though, so it will be a penalty in favour of the English. Ratama, then Roigard. If it wins, don't change, says Shane. Now let's talk food, says Zenda. And also we got a donation from Christopher. Thank you very much, mate. Coffee on me. How was the cricket yesterday? It didn't go very well, if I'm being honest. Like, we fielded first. Oh, quick tap taken by Alice Genge, and Chandler Cunningham himself is over again for his second try. He's just bounced the ball into the ground. It's come up and smacked him in the face. But the double for Chandler Cunningham himself at the moment for the English. I talk about who you choose. It's all interesting rugby talk, says Jane. That's a great run initially from Marcus Smith. Just got to 5 metres out, and then from there, as soon as there was the penalty advantage, England were in the box seat. The quick tap was taken. And then Genge just pops it up, and that is poor defence. I'm not sure what Suoliti was doing right next to the breakdown in that case. Completely missed everyone, pretty much. And Chandler cutting himself through the gap and scores the try. How long time are not here in France at the moment working, says Stuart Moore. Well, it is great to have you back, Stuart. Hopefully you are. Hang on, TMO. They're going to be checking this one. I'd say this is a better game than yesterday, says Soraya. It's certainly more open and free-flowing. The weather, you could say, it's playing a little bit of a factor there. Yeah, he's got control of that. Chandler cutting himself, so the TMO, I'm not sure what he was trying to look at there, but it's completely fine. Forgot about your South African woman, says Jake. Angry's from St. Flower. And this looks ominous. Ozfringe D looking rough, says Thursdays. And we have got there last we need is an injury for him, says Mr. Orlin. Any game will be better than yesterday, says Kieran. Right, they're checking to see if his left hand... Yeah, that's still fine. I think they're getting confused at Matt Faisler's hand, because one of his hands is off the ball. The other hand still got it. Okay, Ben O'Keefe's pretty much said, yeah, no, we're not looking at that 15 times. It's a try. Yeah, see, those fingers are still on it. Why are they still looking at this? Yeah, that's pretty much what Ben O'Keefe said. He said, no, we've got it. We've got the grounding, so we can move on now. Come on, Joe Smith. And also we have got there, missed that. Oh, was there any separation? No. So pretty much what happened was he had it in two hands. The right hand came down. Matt Fazel's hand got in there. But then Chandler Cunningham himself still had it with the other hand. When he placed a wildcard, has more control over his emotions. Then that put down. So here's Jake. And Ireland moving down on the Rugby World Cup. Says Michael, but that one has gone over, so that will make the score now 12 points to 3 between the sides. But yeah, to answer your cricket question from earlier on, seeing as I did actually only put that up for a very short time, didn't I, Christopher? But yeah, pretty much I got injured while fielding. Like I re-injured something that I heard at practice, so then I couldn't bat. So I was going to be out there at 11. We were chasing 273 in a 40 over game because we bowled 40-something wides as a team. I did only bowl one over, but I couldn't really bowl. So yeah, it was not ideal. But we only lost by 6 runs, so that was probably the best total we've ever scored, even though we lost. So that's a bonus. Australia are going to have the scrum feed here. We see another knock on coming from England. And I know the dreaded TMO says Stefan. I think Australia break records again today, says Arthur. What did you pull, says Robert. So at practice, I kind of twisted my left leg funny, and it was like a twinge in the back. So I think it was not the hamstring. Well, it could have been a bit of hamstring, but the one above as well, kind of in the glute. Not ideal. And it's a hard one to explain because then people get confused when you say you've torn your butt muscle. But then pretty much trying to run in the field, it went ping at the back, and then the front also kind of pinged as well. So I was limping the whole time. But now, penalty to England. I think that was a call from the assistant referee on the sideline. Went down on the floor against Taniela Tupou. And Ireland are number 8. Really, says Mr. Marmite, 40 wides. Were you trying to walk a bunch of pinch hitters? You know, I don't know what the bowlers were doing, to be honest. Like, there are a lot of young guys in the team. So, like, this is a bit of a learning curve for them, that the best thing to do is put the ball on the pitch. But, like, yeah, they'll get better as the season goes on. Only second game for them. So hopefully it improves. Marcus Smith going to be there on Dan Carter level. Keep an eye on him. Says Nico. I twisted my ankle getting out of bed today. Luckily there's rugby on all day. Says Sighted. Yeah, so you will have plenty to watch. Nicely taken by Maru Atoje. And looking for the rolling maul. Currently sitting 25 metres out. Oh, that's great work from Jamie George. Australia just they kind of wheeled around, and then England just could go straight through the middle, but they have got the ball inside of their 22 now, the Aussies. Harry Wilson with a skip pass. Suoliti with a quick hands. Goes out to Tom Wright, who finds Dylan Peach. Inside ball. Back to Tom Wright. Inside ball to Dylan Peach. They're just playing it like it's rugby league at the moment, those two. Taking a few steps and passing. Now going back across to the right. Fraser McWright, they will be 40 metres out and they'll drop the ball again, the Australians, but they have said that it's gone backwards. Now Gordon goes to Tom Wright. Ikatel just couldn't quite get that offload away. How do I subscribe, says Desmond? There is a subscribe button normally below the live stream. If you're on a PC, you can scroll down a little bit. If you're on it's a loose ball. Ben Spencer picks it up and offloads to Freeman. That didn't look like he was going to be able to get it away, and a good tackle made by Joseph Suoliti. Another offload from the back. Jamie George goes to Spencer. Now Smith going across to Ollie Lawrence. Oh, that's straight and off the feet from Alice Genge, but I think he tripped over Harry Wilson, who was in an offside position. Where are they on the field currently? England back just 22 metres out. Or make it about 30 because they've just had a bit of a fumble. Little chip and chase coming from Marcus Smith. Loose ball. Gordon cleans it up though. And now another attacking chance for Australia. Dylan Peach grubbers him behind. That's just dirty from Ben Earl. Changed his line. Took him off the ball. And that was pretty cynical from Ben Earl. And it looks like they aren't going to do anything about it. Interesting. I don't think there was any signs of Ben Earl like chasing that ball without the idea of tripping the Australian player. But It is going to be play on. Nicely done, Hamish. Are the Susies, I assume that's the Aussies, the new whipping boys. That is going to be another penalty to England. So maybe. Subscribe and thanks for the likes. And we have got there, England were third at the World Cup because South Africa cheated. Otherwise, England were first or second. There's Mr. Marmite. I think they're just going to show it again here. So Dylan Peach kicks it in behind. No, see, Ben Earl's changed his line there, chasing that ball. Is that the penalty in the breakdown as well? That's not good. But that's all right, I guess. A couple rough ones in a row there from the refereeing. My bad, says Mr. Orlin. You're bad. Ben needs the specs. I think that is. ABS, if you win World Cup, you're number one in my mind, says Shane. And also we get lots of hard running early in the game. Lungs will be on fire now. England dominating the ruck, says us. And England were third because they didn't play Ireland, France, Australia or New Zealand, says Stephen. Or Wales. Yeah, but then that's just luck of the draw, wasn't it? Like, at the end of the day, certain sides, you know, they had slightly easier ways to get further in, but they still had to win some important games. Like Fiji were not an easy side to beat in that quarterfinal. Blame the draw, not England. Yeah, exactly. Like, they couldn't do anything about it. They couldn't say, oh, sorry, World Rugby, we just don't like our draw. We'd like to play some harder sides before the semi-finals, if that's all right, just because you've done the draw poorly. Ed Sheeran clapping along with that one going over. That is an extra 3, making it 15 points to 3 now. New Zealand 3 in the world, says Harry Hone. I think they're actually 2 at the moment, the way that it currently sits. Ref missing a good game, says Jack Tatoy. Ruined the World Cup. England brought down the standard in the semi-final. I would disagree. Like, a 1-point victory in a semi-final, like, it was an extremely close game. Could have gone either way. So, yeah, I think you're just complaining for the sake of complaining again, Stephen. Did you, like, date an English girl or something and she broke your heart? So now you're just, forever, you will hate England. Oh, that's a big one. Tom Wright going up for the ball but doesn't claim it cleanly. So now England back in possession. Marcus Smith looking for the 50-22. Running back there as Noah Lalicio will be inside of his 22, so can clear it and put it into touch if he needs to, but goes across to Tom Wright, who instead will sink the slipper into it and get it out. World Cups have a lot of luck to them. Draws other countries knockout favourites. Cards officials, says Trajan. And they've only started to do the basics right again. And we have got their wife going out for a girls' night. So it's you, me, and a pack of beers. Happy day, says Robert. What's your liquor of choice, Robert? What beer have you gone with today? Oh, it sounds like an HIA, I think I heard. Did I? Did they say HIA for Fiuwaboso? He doesn't look like he wants to make his way from the field, but no one's told him to get off. Yeah, he's going off for an HIA. I didn't actually see the one that actually got him. I'm English, unfortunately. I'm sorry to hear that, Stephen. No, I'm joking, aren't I? Wish I wasn't, Stephen. Who's the team that you go for then, Stephen? Who's your dream team if you were from somewhere else? Oh, no, it's Tommy Freeman. Now, no wonder Emmanuel Fiuwaboso looks so confused. And that's, wait, no. What number is the guy that they're taking off? He's just putting up his hand, the guy on the sideline trying to do the subs. They're confused at who actually needs the HIA. Emmanuel Fiuwaboso looked very confused, but I don't know if that's because he's concussed or because he's like, well, I haven't done anything yet, so how do I need an HIA? And now, yeah, Tommy Freeman hasn't made his way from the field. Emmanuel Fiuwaboso will now go off. He still looks a little bit dazed, to be honest, but then I don't know if that's just the natural way that his face sits. Geez, the neck on Fiuwaboso, yeah, he's got a big neck, that is for sure. We're used to it. Everyone hates the English. And we have got there Australia only 3 points, WTF. And I Hamish just joined. Are England playing well, or is Australia continuing their miserable form? I think it's a little bit of both. Like, Australia have had some good moments in this one, and I don't normally like to bring up the refereeing of the game, but they probably have been a bit unlucky in terms of some of the calls so far. That doesn't mean that that's why they're down by 15. In fact, the points that they've conceded, only 3 of them have come from a bad decision. Oh, that's a loose ball. Joseph Suali'i gets the chance, offloads it up to Andrew Callaway to keep that ball alive. He tries to break through. Jamie George gets in the breakdown. It's gone off his feet. That's how you get a high ranking, by winning the most games. Says Trajan, probably the All Blacks. They win and lose with dignity. Sorry, world rankings. Ireland won 3 out of the last 5 matches against New Zealand. Says Michael. Yeah, although out of the last 9, they have won 5. So now it's 5-5 between the two sides. And Ireland still have the best winning record up against the All Blacks out of any side since 2016 by an extra 9%. Fun fact. Oh, a big run from Angus Bell. Sits down Tom Curry. Momentum just kept on taking him to the ground. Gordon going off to the left-hand side. Jeremy Williams, 2-man tackle on him. Curious to know if Emmanuel Fiwa-Boso passes that HIA. Currently 30 metres out from the line for the Wallabies. Maybe they should send all dazed and confused players off for an HIA. They'd probably end up sending a lot of players off, I would say. Australia looking strong, walking onto the pitch. And the anthems and the singer was all right too. Other than that, don't know. Says Dakota. See that? Oh, Tom Curry's down. He looks... Is he sleeping? Okay, it looks serious. Rob Valentini just swore. I think he's a little bit concerned because Tom Curry was having a nap. Either that or his shoulder. It was something like that. I think it might have been knocked out, though. He kind of had the arm the way that sometimes you sleep. You know how you put the arm down first and kind of rest on it? Doesn't look too good for Tom Curry, but he did take a big knock just beforehand. So you're in that situation, like, because he got slightly... I don't think he got rocked the first time per se, but he did look like he took quite a nasty blow. So what might have happened is he just ended up with that continuous damage, and then that neck shot's the one that really got him. You know? Like that first one weakened the chin, and then the next one got him right on the button. HIA, yeah, it will be. I don't think he'll come back, though. Like, in fact, I don't even think they'll do an HIA. If he's knocked unconscious now, there's no point testing to see if he can continue in this game. And we have got there, come on, Aussie, says Trajan. And also we have got the Argentina are a nation of winners. I think they will win the Rugby World Cup soon. We should also give them back the Falkland Islands and beg them for forgiveness. I'm pretty sure you live in the country you do because of the English Dakota, says James. And Ireland does not deserve number 1 based on their performance against New Zealand, but now they are not number 1. So I guess, in a way, your sentence, you could say, is accurate because they aren't number 1 anymore. They can still be at the end of the November internationals, though. If South Africa were to lose to Scotland or England, and then Ireland win all their games from here, I think they can actually boost themselves up just enough to get number 1 back. It just depends, because whoever loses about 1.5 on the rankings. God is controlling rugby games. So much for free will, says Skip. Yeah, currently Tom Curry is still down, I believe. And we'll hopefully get him back to his feet. So New Zealand number 1? No, not quite. So South Africa are number 1. If New Zealand had won by 15, they would have been number 1. But because they only won by the 10, which I know sounds weird to say only, but yeah, they needed to win by, 16 to get that number 1 spot. Imagine AB's return home as number 1. The thing is, though, like, I mean this in the nicest way possible. There's only one side that can be number 1 in the rankings at the end of November that will not cause anyone really to complain. And that's the side that are currently number 1. Because if the All Blacks are number 1, the first thing that's said is, but South Africa beat them twice this year. So why aren't South Africa in that number 1 spot? When Ireland were number 1. Of course, South Africa getting themselves the win up against them, but then Ireland also picking up the win. Oh, yeah, knee to the side of the head for Tom Curry. Oh, and then he also got the knee of his own player on the way through as well. IRB World Rugby Calculator is good. Says Gregor, Ireland need to change up the roster a bit, and now is the time. I mean, Jamison Gibson Park, though, that guy, to come back from the injury that he's had for like a very long time and then just play like he did, it's as if he was never injured. We have got there, well, if Tom Curry is off, there is no reunion next week, says Bokeski. That is true. That's a bit of a weird situation, isn't it? Because, like, originally, like, of course, Bongi Umanumbi was accused, and then it was worked out to be that, like, it wasn't how Tom Curry interpreted it. But then from there, a lot of South African supporters then did call him that, if that makes sense, but they were using it as if it was actually the insult rather than the use that Bongi Umanumbi used it. It was a weird situation because it was kind of like Bongi didn't do it, but a lot of the South African supporters going against Curry did. So it was a bit weird overall. Now Dylan Peach currently sitting 20 metres out from the line. Bongi spoke Afrikaans, exactly right. And then a lot of the supporters did not. I lost my bus pass, can't get back, says James. How long's the walk then in that case? How much do you wish the Kiwis on the Ireland team were in the New Zealand team? Well, like, the sad reality, right, is like those guys weren't given the chance for New Zealand, so they went elsewhere. They had eligibility, so they went for it. DJT back Springboks, says George. And Bongi speaks Afrikaans while playing. Yeah, like, it was confirmed that it was like right side or left side or whatever it was when he said it. Joseph Suali'i, I just showing him at the moment. They're saying he looks a handful. He didn't look a handful when he missed the tackle that led to a try, but other than that, he's done all right. I know what happens with the South Africans. I just make the point funny. A point of White being offside. Says one Pierre Bosch. Yeah, some of them have been joking about it, but then others have just been calling him literally what the English translation is. Whiteside says yarn. Yeah, so that's how Bongi used it, which was good. You know, that's fair enough. That's how Uruguay won the World Cup end off. And I mean, was it wide side rather than right side? Now 25 metres out from the line. I like gingers, says Mr. Marmite. Well, there you go. Now throwing this one in. Jeremy Williams now 10 metres out from the line. And there's going to be the advantage going against the English here. Jake Gordon going back across to Lene Kitau. Oh, that's a big shot coming in from Chandler cutting himself, but they have numbers to the left-hand side. Joseph Suali'i manages to get the offload away to Tom Wright as an assist on debut, and Tom Wright gets the try back now for the Australians, and that is a much-needed try. South Africa needs New Zealand's help to get to number one ranking, since they can't beat Ireland themselves. Says Trajan, although they did in July. Although Ireland, you know, like, people like to make fun of the Irish, but they've got a pretty good record against some of the big sides at the moment. Like I said, New Zealand since 2016, they've won 50% of the games. Up against the South Africans, I think they've won, can't remember the exact numbers, 4 of the last 7 or something like that. So, like, they've got some really good numbers up against sides. You know, up against the French, they've beaten them quite a bit in the Six Nations. But it's kind of that World Cup stigma that has hurt quite a bit. And draw a pass from Suali'i, says Jake Dyer. Suali'i is looking very good on attack. Yeah, he's got that offload game, which I feel like a lot of rugby league players do develop when you're getting tackled. If there's the opportunity to keep the phases going, seeing as you only get the 6 in rugby league, if you can get an offload away and it works out, that is a great kick as well from Nola Alessio, making the score now 15 points to 10. They had the numbers on the outside as well. Dylan Peach could have got that chance too. Oh, yeah, I've got there. England number 3, says Mr. Marmite. And Curry has just recovered from a concussion. This could be bad for his career, sadly, says Stretch. And yeah, unfortunately, once you get one concussion, like, you are sadly more susceptible to getting another one. Definitely straight afterwards as well. Like, that's the most dangerous time to really get it. Oh, that's a bit of a loose ball there. And it's knocked on by Australia, then by England. So 22 metres out from the line now, an English scrum will be taking place. Oh, it looks like Fiwa Boso, he's putting on the jacket. So he's done for the day. So that now means up against South Africa, they won't have Fiwa Boso and they won't have Tom Curry. This is, I mean, that's not looking too good for them. Which means wide offside. Curry immediately showed his ignorance and assumed he was being sworn at. Difficult for some English to understand there are other languages. Yeah, like I feel like there was the big misinterpretation of the situation overall. And I feel like it got cleaned up or kind of cleared up in the end. 28 and a half minutes in. Ben Spencer to feed the scrum. Once again, though, we are going to have that reset. Crowd are singing, are you doing the Italy game? Originally, we were going to. We were actually also going to do that France versus Japan game, but that was slightly before I tried sitting down. And that sounds really weird to say, but pretty much got a bit injured at the cricket, and it's quite painful to sit. Like, I should be fine for tomorrow. We've only got the 2 streams, but I think I'm going to end up watching those games while lying down. These Australians will make me rich. Says Martin. Damn, who's that lock playing at 12? Lock playing at 12. You're talking Ollie Lawrence? Maybe? Or you're talking about Len Ikitau. Sorry for that, Amish. I will miss your commentary. Says Mikhail. How does the rugby rankings calculator compare with the DLS method? Confusing maths. Says Lilia B. I mean, the system, once you get the understanding of the world rankings, it makes a little bit of sense. Yes, like certain sides people feel aren't where they should be, but it is based off, you know, home wins, away wins, and then depending on the points that your opposition has, depends on how many you can gain. Now, because, oh no, Fiwa Bosu, he had the jacket on, he will make his way back on, my apologies. I'm not sure what happened there. I think they were just trying to keep him warm. South African players' hearts just dropped when Curry went off the sad part of not mowing him next week. Says one Pierre Bosch. Looks like once again England will opt for the 3. Already had 2 tries from Chandler Cunning himself. Marcus Smith sitting 2 from 3 for today. This is a decent game. It always had the potential of being a good game between these two sides because when it breaks open, there were going to be a lot of meters made. We have good there, that insert. And the side of the English jersey, just a bit, looks a bit like the Scottish tartan pattern. At first sight, do they honour the Scots this autumn? Probably not. I think that's, is it one of their brands? Is it Umbro that has that? There's one of them that has like that kind of pattern or that kind of like colour. I think it might actually be their alternative strip. They also have that as well. Oh, so Aliti went up for it and actually has managed to make it contestable in Australia. Now back in possession. Taniela Tupou with the pick and go. Didn't quite work out. And now Gordon has been crushed. Maro Itoje knocking that one on in the breakdown. But Smith now will kick this one down the middle of the field. 3-month recovery from concussion recommended. And that's why the likes of like mixed martial arts, it can be brutal if you get knocked out. And normally, you know, you're supposed to give it, they kind of put you on about a 60-day or a 90-day stand down, like you said. Whereas in rugby, it's only 2 weeks and they chuck you back out there. So, you know, it's pretty dangerous. And they got Umbro, but I haven't seen that on the Umbro jerseys before. Oh, Gordon's busted open badly. He's got the gash right in the middle of the forehead. Are you allowed to use your commentary to replay a delayed match? You can. And a great commentator says another person. Thank you very much. Sadly, no, though. It still counts as, like, under copyright restriction. We play a social cricket league for fun. Cricket in my area, says Ben Brits. That might be the equivalent. We've got Twilight Cricket here, which is pretty much on a Monday night. And cricket for fun. WTF, says Fluffy. And we have got their last 10 games. Either won 6 of the last 10. With some good wins in South Africa, if I can recall. There's Michael. How's Joseph Suwali playing? On attack, he's looking menacing. Defensively, we haven't really seen him hugely tested. There was one try that he was caught out of position a little bit. Would you change to rugby league commentary if they were to offer you a good contract, Hamish, says Dakota? I'd have to do a lot more research for the rugby league side of things. Like, I know a little bit, but nowhere near enough, I don't think, to be in the commentary box. Like, even rugby union, I feel I don't know enough to do any sort of professional commentary. But you know, I don't think that offer would come, to be honest. Please, South Africa, don't brag and embarrass us. Please be humble, South Africa. I nurture my inner garden. It beautifully blooms into reality. I don't know why, but I felt like that was going in a manscaping direction, and then it kind of went away. Like your inner garden. You know, it does sound like you're talking about something else. But I get what you're saying. We love your commentary, says James, that is going to be a free kick to the Australians. Oh, Ben O'Keefe almost got smacked in the face with the ball. And now Valentini charging forward. Can Australia score again before the end of this half, perhaps? Now, McDermott almost piercing the gap. Jake Gordon still off for his blood bin. Chandler cutting himself, making the tackle on Wilson. Valentini has another pick and go, and the advantage is in favour of the Australians. McDermott goes across to Taniela Tupou, bounces up for Leonard Cattell. Now around the side, McDermott, it's wide open. Passes off to Wilson, an immediate impact for Tate McDermott. Australia score again. That's 15 points to 18 now. Tries this one, Pierre Bosch. And we have got the deflector from the Waz. The Abbies are more reliable. When you work professionally, you got more time to prepare even better. But the foundation is there. Just go for it. Says Dakota. You think Australia will beat England today? I mean, I really couldn't decide which way this game was going to go. Like I said at one point that England, if Australia are rusty because they haven't played, England should win by kind of 5-10, I think was my call. But Australia looking good at times in this one. They conceded those couple early tries, but since then, they have been able to get themselves a couple of their own. By 2027, you'll be commentating in the stadiums, says Dylan there. And we have got there, David has said hello. Welcome in, mate. Hope you are keeping well. And Australia needs to win this series. Now, Noah Lalicio gets the kick over again. It's a 1-point game between these two sides, ladies and gents. This is going to be a pretty close one. And Ollie Lawrence now goes off for an HIA. I think. If that's... Tell you what. Australia are just taking players out. In terms of like if they don't have Ollie Lawrence next week, they don't have Tom Curry, like, you know, that's not ideal. And Ready Steady says Sea Glider. We have got there, well, cannot believe the score. I was looking potent AF, or potent AF, I should say. Please elaborate. I don't quite get it. What was he saying? Says Lilia B. Wait, who we talking about for saying? Can't believe my $100 bet on $7 odds for Australia to win. It's looking pretty good today, says Martin. Well, that's the thing. Australia are definitely keeping in it. Have you been at Twickenham? I have not. No, I've never been to England. It would be quite cool to watch a game from there, although I think it costs about £500. But yeah, currently the Australians, they are $5.50 underdogs for this game, ladies and gentlemen, and they are still well and truly in the hunt for this game. I thought Scottish were the redheads. We've got there's a lot of time to be played. Yeah, that's the thing. They could slow down here, the Aussies, and England still have plenty left in the tank out wide. Going to Ollie Slate home. Wait, Slate home's still on. Oh, no, he came back on. Yeah, Fiwa Boso's on again. And Slateholm's gone back out there for Ollie Lawrence. Jimbo was high, says cited. And 25 over. Batsman retire at 30 runs. Bowlers only 5 metre run up. I come back after everybody out, says Ben. Okay. Yeah, see, for Twilight here, it's 2 overs per bowler. So normally you're bowling about 16 overs for a team. And then... yeah, retiring at 30 and no coming back. So it's a bit brutal at times. Marcus Smith, wide cut-out pass, goes out to Ollie Slate home, who puts the grubber in behind. That ball's just going to keep on rolling and it goes dead. We'll now be back for the scrum. They got the Papa John's ad. I do have a question for anyone who's in England at the moment. Is Papa John's... is that like the best pizza chain? Or is it Pizza Hut or Domino's? What's the best one in England that you can get? Because Papa John's I always thought was just American, but it must be in England as well. Let's go Aussie, says Shane. And good morning, Amish, says Zion. Welcome in. And Bruce commentary on point, says Lightfoot. Pizza, says one Pierre Bosch. Wasn't quite the question, but yes. If you go to England and you say you want people bring you 6 or something, and Papa John's is bad, says Michael. Okay, so what's the best one, Michael, in that case? Only chavs eat that. Pizza Hut, says Mr. Marmite. Okay. Papa John's here in Ireland. WGF is Papa John's. It's like a pizza chain. Like, mainly American, I think. I buy local pizzas, not PJ. USA pizza franchise can be good, says Mikhail. Now 2. Oh, that's an early push there. In fact, it's just a free kick. I thought it was almost going to be upgraded to a penalty. Was a pizza in Galway is unreal. Nice. If I ever find myself in Ireland, to try and get to the right pizza place. England taste buds are best when you lost all your taste buds. Oh, England food tastes best. Sorry, yeah. One thing that they do, that's another penalty. That's going to be for Chandler cutting himself, obstructing. That guy, Joseph Suaalii, made a difference in the Wallabies game against England today, says Martin. Yeah, and it is still taking place. He's still got another 41 minutes to make an impact. Usually best rugby league players don't convert. This is why they aren't automatically the best in union. Why would they change a competitive league with 24-plus games for a few internationals a season? Yeah, that's the thing. Suaalii got given good money to be able to play for the Aussies, but that's the only way that they could entice some of these rugby league guys to actually consider playing rugby union. So rather than giving Eddie Jones a whole heap of money, they've just given it to a player, which I think is the better investment in this case for Australia and might be, a little bit of a bridge between the two codes. Big run from McWright. Currently 20 metres out from the line here for the Australians. McDermott tries to pick and go again. Now, Gordon is still off for his blood bin, but I don't think they'll be rushing just for now to get him back on. McDermott's come on with a vengeance by the looks of it. Nola Alessio tackled again. McDermott trying to protect that ball, and he has done extremely well compared with the fact that 2 big forwards were trying to get it from him there. So Joseph Suaalii again with ball in hand. Only 10 metres out, Ikitau finds the offload to Angus Bell. He is well covered. Dombrandt out there on the field, of course, for Curry. And Jane Food is garbage. Says Skep, another advantage. Going for the Aussies. Tani Alatupo. That's a rough offload. Or was it? Oh, he said it's gone forward. It was pretty flat. Rod's in the house. What's up, people? Says Roderick Smith. Welcome in, mate. And we have got their Aussies look good. Yeah, they've done pretty well throughout this first half. Currently, it is suspended. Wow. I've just learned, if you're in New Zealand, by the way, anyone, and you do have a TAB account, you can actually watch this game on the TAB. That's interesting. I wonder why they've done that. I wonder if that's all Australian games. Maybe TAB have got it as well. See, I don't know how they get away with it in terms of being able to get licensing when there is the restriction. But maybe that's because Sky also have a lot of TAB ads, so maybe they can share it. Now, lining this one up and does get it over there, Nola Alessio. So that will give Australia the lead at halftime, 20 points to 18. I don't think many people would have been anticipating that. One Papa John is where they call pizzas pies, says Sakili. You can tell this Irish loss really hurt the fans by the comments, says Papa Shango. And Australia is ahead. My odds at 7. It's looking bloody good. I can't believe this, says Martin. Would you consider a cash out, Martin, or are you in it for the long haul? Do let me know a pizza is a pie, says Zenda. Back and forth for 40 minutes. So far, expectations have been surpassed. What's your talk, Hamish? Yeah, very good half of rugby. Like, both sides have had enough tackling at times, but they've also had some good line breaks. NZ, TAB and Sky TV hooked up. If you've got money in your TAB account, free watching, but can't cast to the TV, says Thuds Ray. And there. No way I would have predicted the score, says Roderick Smith. Yeah, it's a high-scoring game. Like, it was always, I think, going to be a higher-scoring one between these two sides compared to Ireland versus New Zealand. But I don't think, with the start that we saw from England, anyone would have seen the Aussies being up by 2 here. To be honest, like they looked like they were going to be down by 20. Oh, you get there. How did the cricket go making you run, says Andrew. No, sadly, I betted myself 11 because they made me captain, but I was like 20 minutes late. Like, as in, like, still before the start of the game, but I didn't get to do the toss because I was still arriving from after doing the stream, which is something some of you may have heard in that review when I said I have to leave in like 15 minutes to drive in the car. That was where I was driving. But during the fielding, I had an injury at training on Thursday and sadly re-injured it pretty early. So by the end, I could hardly walk, let alone run. So yeah, betted myself 11. We lost by 6 in the end. Like, it was our best ever score that we had gotten. We just didn't get enough runs and too many wides. He can't be late as captain lot. Well, that's what I said. I wasn't wanting to be captain because I don't know whether you guys know this, but I'm a bit indecisive. You might have noticed from my score predictions when I don't give one that I do struggle to pick things. So choosing who's bowling and whatnot's just not my forte. Which position do you play, Hamish? For cricket or for something else? This game give me hope. Are we going to sweep the floor next week with England, not just a point, and Australia looking good? Says Mark there, and good day, how are you? Who do you think is going to win tomorrow, says Marcel? I think that, South Africa, for me, are the favourites. I'm curious to see what happens when it comes to the bench, though. Because if Scotland are up heading into that bench, I think we're on for a really exciting last 20 minutes or so. But if Scotland are behind and the Springboks make those changes, I think that's where, South Africa will run away with it. But at the same time, like, all it takes is one back injury and, South Africa are in a little bit of trouble. Can't underestimate the Anzacs when it comes to sports. Were you elected captain by a committee of your peers? No, not really. So pretty much all the experienced players for the team pretty much weren't there. So they went with me because I was like the next, most experienced, I guess you could say. This is the first year where I've managed to get my Scottish mates to accept a bet for the Bok game. Says Dylan. And Scotland can win people in the URC, they in top form. Yeah, I think that some people maybe are underestimating Scotland a little bit because, they did pretty well in their first game up against the Fijians, which of course is a hard one to judge by, but Glasgow's defence is always solid and that's replicated at international level. The game is just an all-rounder, says Lilia B in there. Only when I'm not injured. When I'm injured, I'm not much help. I also dropped a catch by not even getting my hands to it. It hit me in the chest. I think it was the worst drop catch I've ever had because it almost didn't count as a catch because I missed the ball. It just went thud into the chest and it was just not good. And then they put on like a 70-run last wicket partnership after I dropped it, so that hurt. Definitely an all-rounder, says Mark there. And let's go the Aussies, says FNL. And yep, 100, says Roderick Smith. Lol, says Salah. And there as well. But overall, this first half, how is Australia leading, says Wayne? That is a question that a lot of people will be asking themselves. Not really expected for this one. Hamish Genius, wrong. A prediction guy, trader lol, says Shane. Well, that's the thing. I did say, that's the thing. I always try and give myself, because I can't decide on matches. So there was a part early on that I said if Ireland were rusty and New Zealand fired, they could win by 10 to 15. But I didn't actually really think that would happen. But I also didn't anticipate both sides to play as badly as they did at times. And sometimes we back them and we get called an idiot for saying the All Blacks are going to win. The Rugby Championship was brutal, even though we did say that South Africa would win both games in South Africa. But yeah, it's one of those ones that when the All Blacks lose, I get less, backlash than when I say that New Zealand, the opposition, are going to win and then New Zealand win, if that makes sense. Quick hands, Aussie, says FNL. Box are going to crush Scotland, says Vaughan. This is at Twickenham. If so, out for England. It is indeed. And it's definitely not the type of first half that England would have wanted. Definitely not after scoring 2 early tries. Hamish is probably a veggie, eh? Like as in like a vegetarian? Because no, I'm not. So far, a better test than yesterday, says Anthony. I'm not putting me pie between any cheeks. Where'd that come from, Fluffy? And Aussie playing better in the second 20, says Gus. And the Bok says Charles. But yeah, we are going to be live for that game tomorrow between the Springboks and Scotland. Have a nice big build-up. Final score here, Hamish. Honestly, I could see these guys doubling their totals. I think that we're still going to see a few more tries being scored. Hamish is a meat lover, says Manny M. And I'm guilty of that, Hamish, giving you a hand or a hard time when you are wrong. I did see that. I can't remember if I replied to it or not. But it is one of those ones that you take that risk by giving a prediction. Like, if I was to reply to every wrong prediction we've seen on the channel, it would take a long time. That is sure. The likes of me putting Quagga Smith in my starting XV, I got a whole heap of hate comments for that. People were like, you idiot, you know nothing about rugby. You're obviously stupid. And then, like, he got selected in the team. So I was like, oh, well, that's nice, I guess. But, yeah, like, it is one of those ones that you get used to it. The Japan game live tonight. It is. They are going to be playing up against France. That is in 4 hours' time. Come on, Oz. Nothing wrong with Quaggy. He's solid. That's what I said. And it's his 50th game. So Russie has been very likely to put milestone players in a starting lineup. So that's why I went with him. But people did not like that prediction. Even if England win, we can still be friends, guys, says Cool Story Bro. A good selection, good prediction, says Roderick. Hello, says Unicorn Gal. And there, welcome in. I hope you are keeping well. Currently 18 points to 20 between these two sides. Chandler Cunningham himself scoring twice for the English. And then for the Australians, we have seen a try for Tom Wright. And then also a try for Harry Wilson. Watch the ref. Says Sea Glider. And France is looking for a 61-point game. The only I give Hamish is about his beard, says Grant. And that is fair enough because the beard is shocking. To be honest, there's just nothing of it, sadly. It's turning more and more ginger by the day, I've noticed. I've noticed this side, I'm slowly going grey up top. And down the bottom, you can't really see it on the live stream that well. But there's about 15 ginger hairs. And I'm not sure where they've come from. Because, like, I was asking my mum and dad, and I was like, anyone got any ginger in terms of the family tree? And they were like, not really. And make no mistake, Quagga is solid, but he is a finisher, not a starter, says Vaughan. Yeah, I think he'll only start this game in terms of the whole of the November internationals. It's just because it's his 50th and it's his milestone, similar to what we saw for Vincent Koch. When he brought up his 50th, he got to start rather than making his way off the bench. They're talking to Will Skelton by the looks of it at the moment. If it's ginger now, it will turn to grey. Ah, is that how it works? Well, you should ask a scientist, says Mr. Orlin. Given that guy in Mexico a hard time too before, says Trajan. Manu has switched to Union, bring him in to the AB squad. And we have got there, my beard had red. Those were the ones that went grey first. I think I have potential to be grey by 30, I think. Probably. Anyway. Or I have potential to not have hair up top by 30. So, I'll take anything I can get at this point. I'd prefer that it was grey than not there. And I hope Aussie wins. Can't stand the Northern teams, says LH. Possession at the moment, though, 59% in favour of the Australians, 54% territory. So even though England had a lot of attack in the early stages, Australia, like in terms of stats-wise, are actually doing very well. Arasi makes very good changes, says Kieran. It's the Springbok way. They honour, celebrate their players. And then also we got the lol from Doctor in the chat as well. But I would say we're only a couple minutes away from the second half. No sneezing today then. I honestly am holding back a sneeze at the moment. I don't know whether or not you could tell, but it almost got me. As Wales game live tomorrow. Yep, they are taking on the Fijians for their game tomorrow night. I've got reddish. That's nice, Fluffy. Thanks for sharing. It'd be great if the South had a clean sweep over the North. Says DeVos. And Rassi, I don't know what to think of that man, says Mr. Orland. Are South Africa good at any other sport other than rugby union? Decent at cricket overall for the South Africans. What else have they got? Oh, I mean, a few of the athletics events, they've done very well. Have you considered doing halftime trivia? We once told jokes at halftime. That was an interesting one. I think we've done a quiz at halftime as well on a couple of the old live streams. Overall, the hardest part of doing trivia is most people just Google it, and then they're the ones who are quickest and then put in the answer beforehand. You're okay at the cricket, but gone downhill since Hans Cronje left with his bag of cash. We have there just saying the rest are fair to blonde. If it's green, it's good, says Sea Glider. By the time you're fully grey, Ireland still won't get into the semi-finals, says Gary. And also, we have there, South Africa won the world sheep shearing in Scotland. There you go. And also, I mean, they've got a middleweight champ in the UFC with Dricus du Plessis. Is there any UFC on today? I know next week it is John Jones versus... there is a card by the looks of it. Yeah, next week it's Stipe taking on John Jones. Co-main of Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Neil Magny's fighting today up against Carlos Perates, isn't it? I think. Or Perates. I can't really say his name. How do I get action on the screen? Sadly, due to licensing, any match footage or audio can't be shown on YouTube, which is a massive shame because I wish it wasn't illegal. But if you are in New Zealand, I've learnt that it's on the TAB for free as long as you have a TAB account. If cricket got the funding that rugby had, then maybe, says Ben Brits. South Africa had many world boxing champions, says Devos there, and South Africans pretty much can dominate anything they put their minds to, says Zenda. How many kilos of meat can the ABZ? I'd assume it's a few kgs of meat. I've never asked, like, the exact number from them. But, yeah, I'd assume it is a few. How much is that plane fly by in the background deliberate? No, it's just stuck there. Like, those people, they've been annoyed because they've been sitting in that plane right there, just in, I don't know what you could call it, just kind of stalling there for the last maybe 3 years. Never got to their location, just sitting out there. Poor fellas. New Zealand probably won more things this year than most in their history. And some South African boys in the New Zealand cricket team. Says, Jesse, that is true. Yeah, at one point we had about 4 Kiwis overall. I think there was Conway, Wagner, BJ Watling. And then I think there was another one as well. Not de Gronholm because he's Zimbabwean. But yeah, I think there was another guy in there as well. Oh, I talk about cricket, says Derek. Someone mentioned it. But we're currently at half-time, but the two sides making their way back out onto the field. Lawrence has returned, so that is good news. You only need 23. Says Mr. Orland. As the airport close to Twickenham, I'd assume so if they're that low. I don't know if they're taking off or they're... See, I would say they're taking off with where they are. And sadly, South Africa suck at soccer, despite it being the most popular sport here. Says Daryl, and Brumby Power is really showing in this game. England have no answer to Aussie speed and skill. Germany M. Says Sea Glider in there as well. But the second half just about to start. Fishing, golf, netball, hockey sucks. The worst sport in South Africa is soccer, which gets them most funding and supporters, says Ben Brits. And based on the first half and last night's game, Aussies are clearly the unofficial world number 1, says Master Mel. They scored the Wallabies tries. We saw one from Tom Wright, one from Harry Wilson. But Jake Gordon also back out there on the field. Australia, $3.50 underdogs at the moment. They are still in the lead, though. Oh, there's one, please stop. As in, like, talking about other sports, Derek, or, like, the commentary in general. Because we've heard both recently. That one's going to be slapped back by Suali'i. Manages to retain the ball for the Australians. That is a handy part of the game that could be extremely useful for Australia getting the possessions. No. Our soccer is not rugby. Says Derek, as Tonga game live, they are going to be playing tomorrow. Oh no, sorry, Tonga-Romania actually taking place at the moment, isn't it? I don't think they're showing it here in New Zealand from what I've seen. I'll have a quick look in a second. That's well controlled at the back by Alex Dombrandt. And come on, Australia, you got this from South Africa. Now running that one hard is Alice Genge. Currently 40 metres from their line, England. And they are down by 2 at the moment. How many England players are off with brain injuries? Just one at this stage. Ollie Lawrence and Fiwa Bosso both went off for HIAs, but both passed. So it's just Tom Curry at the moment. Now charging forward, Tommy Freeman slaps it back onto the side of the English. Now really nicely done by Ben Earl to get those couple extra metres. Australia in the lead, says George. They certainly are. Shot on Tommy Freeman by Nick Frost. Now back across again, Martin. Missed tackle coming. Daniela Tupou locks over the ball and now has lost his footage. Did I say footage or footing? I think I said footage. He doesn't have a camera out there. The commentary don't suck. Of what you can do, I think most appreciated. And when you're with mates, you don't just talk one sport when watching, says Ben Brits. That is true. Like, we talk about all sorts of random things on the channel, definitely with so many stoppages that happen at the moment in rugby. You know, you probably have 20 minutes of downtime while scrum resets are happening and whatnot. Ball loose. It's popped out the side and Taniela Tupou has managed to dive on it. They will go back across to the left-hand side now. Harry Wilson, big shot on him by Maru Atoja. He's been pretty quiet throughout this game, although we haven't actually seen the ball go into touch too many times throughout this match. It seems to be more so the scrums rather than the lineouts. Now Marcus Smith, plenty of space at the back. Fiwa Bosso drops his head. It's tackled by Wilson as well as Matt Faisler. Now Smith again will go with the up and under down towards the 22. Oh, and big shot on Lolesio. Was his foot down? Or did Freeman go a little bit early? Angus Bell holding the ball in one hand, flicks it off to Henry Slade, who gets his head driven into the turf by Taniela Tupou, grubbed in behind by Callaway, and it now goes out. Dust, curried dust, says Derek. And we have got the Australia rugby slowly improving. We need the Aussies, oi, oi, oi. And as we have got their rugby's heading in the direction of American football with all these stoppages, says Daryl Roberts and Taniela Tupou. He's made at least 4 mistakes, says Master Mal. And ball loose popped out the side. Title of Hamish's tape, says Grant. And if England lose this one, their media is going to be savage, says Ron. I would say so, yeah. I think even if they win this, like, that seems to be the thing. And we actually talked about it last week as well. Like, the media at the moment, they make more money when they, like, have a negative outlook of things. So, like, you're in that situation of, like, even if a side did extremely well, if there were a few bad moments, they'll mention those because that's what sells. People like negativity. For some reason, that's the thing that has become the norm is, yeah, we'll hate on it rather than just enjoy it. Oh, big shot on Marcus Smith, who's been picked up and the ball is dropped as well. Suoli scores 10. The English media will start trashing him as they hate league. Says LG, I'm drunk, says George. Oh, nice run from Tom Wright. Puts it in behind. And it's a good chase coming in from Mick Wright, but Marcus Smith does the face slide there. And we have got there earlier on from George, it's possible to fund my future wife on this channel, says George. This probably, well, we don't even know where you're from, George, so we don't know what type of currency we're dealing with. We haven't found me a wife yet either, but that's all right. Predominantly blokes in the chat. 45 minutes into this game, only 5 metres out from their line, and now Ben Spencer has to kick that one into touch, and without much of an angle to work with and a lot of pressure. I know someone who got drunk in real life. Says, cool story, bro. Drink responsibly, of course we should say. Make him right here, have to. And we have got there, I should have my head read, says Fluffy. Harry Wilson putting in some hard yards there. Marcus Smith, he's done well to hang on to it as well as he did. Hamish All Blacks XV playing today, says Daniel Watson. They certainly are up against the Georgians. We'll probably end up putting out a lineups video later on today. I wanted to do it earlier on, but we just haven't pretty much had any time. That was a rough pass from Wilson. It's knocked on by England, though, trying to grab that interception and has put it down. There's others I hate more in our country. Sorry to hear. Says George there, I ate Bovril on my toast. I have to say, in terms of when they decided to name it, I feel like Bovril just doesn't sound the most appetizing, if that makes sense. But it's probably nice. How does your body react to heat or sun, even Hamish? Says Dakota. It doesn't like it very much, unfortunately. I got sunburnt today, but only very marginally. And it's just one patch here. There's just a little triangle, like a diamond, where my shirt obviously was a little bit lower than I thought. Oh, beautifully done by Suoliti. Gets it off to Tom right now. Lolesio goes for the cross kick. Finds Callaway. It is 5-on-1. So it's going to be hard work for him, but he stalls for long enough. And he can get the reinforcements in. 8 phases in a row here. Inside ball from Bell. Back to McWright. I think Gordon, no, that was dumb. He tried to milk it and instead England get the possession. I'm deeply unhappy about this, says Sebastian. Hello, Seb. I was about to say, hope you are well, which I do, but I assume that you're not happy in terms of what's happening at the moment. It's certainly a lot closer than some anticipated. And we have got there, Bovril is a wannabe. And we have got there, Marmite and Bovril gave me small zits on my chest once. Well, there you go. Just fund it with crypto, says Robin. Fresh veg, fish, and cocknuts. Can't relate to the last one. How's the rookie going? He's done really well so far. 6 carries, 26 metres made, 4 offloads, 3 tackles. But he's also been able to slap it back. Puts hairs on your chest. Maybe I import me a Russian wife, says George. It could be an option for you. I know people have found blokes from doing that, but also found some ladies. My neighbour, he found a wife online, not from Russia, I think from the Philippines, I think it was. Poor typing, don't be pretentious, mate, says Derek. I still don't like coconuts, though, so I can't relate to the last one anyway. Why is Australia so good today? The passes are sick, says Wayne. Yeah, they've looked good for a side that haven't been in action for a long time. My mind and Bovril. I have its place, can't every day. And how much time it's left, says Mike. Still another 32 minutes remaining. Hasn't gone that far there. Maybe not as far as Australia were anticipating for that box kick. Coconut water. Normal water's all right, isn't it? Now Ben Spencer going off to the left-hand side. Ellis Genge. The carry again up to the halfway line. Do you eat lychees? I haven't actually tried a lychee. Oh, good tackle made on Tom Wright by Tommy Freeman. Counter ruck from the English. Dombrandt gets it back. And now England on attack yet again. Gordon trying to jump over the breakdown. They've said it was knocked backwards by England. Worse than gooseberries. I've only had gooseberries once. And I've never had them again. They were a bit weird. You wait for the sweetness, but there just isn't really any. I find a wife online is okay. It's only bad if you have to pay, says Sebastian. Yeah, it's when they start wanting money that you know you're in the wrong direction. Or the neighbour who found one from the Philippines, he also couldn't get another one into the country, but I think that's because her passport wasn't for her. So you just got to be careful. Like all things, some things are better quality than others. Oh yeah, I've got there. France will mentally be the hardest for New Zealand to conquer, but we still win because we really number one, says Shane. Hamish, you really do live in a small remote town, only brides to be take note, or online brides to be take note. Guess my country, hints on the map. Hint, it's on the map, okay. Right. And you're drunk at the moment, and it's only like 6:25 in South Africa and England as well. So I'm going to guess you're from England. Name like George. Like, there's a couple Georges in the starting lineup, so we'll go with that. We'll say you're from England. We have got there. I wonder if New Zealand athletes have been on something with all the winning New Zealand have done this year. Juicy fruit, best chewing gum, says Fluffy. But we currently got a bit of a stoppage. Looks like everyone's going to be all right, though. 20 points to 18 at the moment. Australia are now $2.45 underdogs. They're slowly drifting down. Do you know there's a dwarf planet between Mars and Jupiter? Fun fact for the day, says Justin. I did not know that. So that is a very fun fact. Now Matt Fazer goes to the front, 5 meters. So all it had to travel, and Fazer has now traveled probably 10 forward. My guess is Greece. Oh, tell you what. It's on a continent. Is it a continent itself? Because if it's a continent itself, then you could say Australia. Depending on who you talk to. Valentini sits down. George Martin, quick hands out wide for the Wallabies. Nick Frost, they're only 5 meters out from the line. Angus Bell steps through. 5 meters again for the Aussies here. And out to the short side. Quick hands. Jeremy Williams, I think he was in touch. I actually do have a Greek family, says George. Oh, Jeremy Williams, he has gone down with some sort of leg injury, I think, here. He doesn't look too flash. It looks like either the groin or the hammy, maybe. They went to the front, actually, to Jeremy Williams originally. What do y'all think about South Africa versus Scotland tomorrow? It's going to be a great game. We are going to be covering it on the channel as well. But that is great work from the Aussies. I mentioned how they were $2.45 underdogs. They will be much better than that now. They're just checking the feet. Now, I did feel like he was in touch. And, oh, it's close. Is the benefit of the doubt going to... No, he's out. I think maybe just if you had to be really harsh, you'd say he's out by this much. Can you say the T? There's green T there. Right, they're going to check this one for the TMO. Just want to make sure that it was grounded for him. Bledissoe ours. All Blacks just hand it back now. Says Master Mal. It's a big shot. Well, was there... Okay. Now, it's probably going to be taken away, right? But can we see any sort of arm wrap from Fiwaboso here? Like, he's led in shoulder to the knee of Jeremy Williams. Can you say the time so that I know the delay, please? So currently, the time is frozen. So once we get back underway, I'll let you know. They're just looking at the replay of Williams. Oh, they might give him this one. It's going to be very close. And it looks like it could be down, but it also looks like it could be up. He dropped it anyway. Yeah, that is a good point. There looks like there's separation for Jeremy Williams. And out is out, says Mr. Marmite. This is so tight. And it's going to be a massive, massive moment in this game. Okay, that's the frame just before. So I believe he is out for this one. He was out, says Dakota. But yeah, did Fiwaboso wrap any sort of arm around that leg? Right, so they're trying to sync it up. And like they've just said, because it was an on-field try, they need definitive evidence that he is out. Yeah, I think that's just out. I think South Africa is going to break Scotland. Yeah, I think this one, the ball's not, yeah, I think this is out. Just. He's out, says the Blues, Nate. But then will the on-field decision come into it? Perhaps. No, I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying. I think Fiwaboso, I don't think they're going to check his thing, but he's probably got a little bit lucky that they're not checking it because he's just let in. No wonder he went off for an HIA earlier if he's going to tackle like that. Oh, tell you what, that's a big call. That's a massive call. They've said there's no clear evidence to overrule the on-field decision. It was try. So that's going to stand. The crowd are not going to be happy with that one. I can tell you that right now. The English media have now got their headline, but it's going to be a hard kick from the sideline. England Rob, says Wayne. And Fiwaboso, he's hurt his neck. I wonder why, because he led with it. Use your arms. Now I'm talking about Fiji and Wales prediction, says Roderick Smith. I hope Fiji do better than they did in the game up against Scotland. And got the Wallabies, baby, says Martin there. And Lolicio is missed, so the score will still be 7 points difference. That's bollocks, says Sebastian. Yeah, I thought he was out. Like, when they showed it from that angle from behind and they synced up the frames, the foot did glance a line before it was down. But they've said that there was no conclusive evidence. But yeah, Fiua Bossa, he's taken a bit of a knock there because he has not tackled well. And I'm from South Africa, but hope Australia win, says Jamie. Oh, that's a knee chop too from Luke Gow and Dickey. Harry Wilson manages to move it just up to the 22. Another try coming soon as long as Suoli busts the Union scene on game one. I'll take an England loss. Here comes Tom Wright through the gap again. Lolicio now going to sink the slipper into it. 50-22 attempted. Bounce of the ball for Jorgensen. It's loose and it's picked up by Fraser McWright. And now Australia, they are 10 metres out from the line and they're going to have another go. Round the side of the breakdown. The pick and go. Valentini. 5 metres out. One more try here and this could be the end of the game. I know we're early on and there's still 29 minutes remaining, but there's another penalty advantage. Harry Wilson goes off to Fraser McWright, who's going to be just short. They're trying to hold him up there, the English. He's gone over the line. He'll be held up and they'll go back for the penalty. We've got there, grind, pick and go, says Mr. Orlin. And can't believe the Springboks put a high odds on Australia to win. Well, that's the thing. Going into this game, they were $6 underdogs. Like, so a lot of people would have just put a few dollars on them just for the sake of seeing if it would end up working out. And, like, at the moment it has. They're up by 7. I think they're going to take on the points here. So this will give them a 10-point lead. We have got there coming on Australia and come on Scotland. And Aussie Smelling Blood says Wampia Bosch. Yeah, they've looked very strong at the start of the second half. England are now $2.80 underdogs. And it went up to $7 odds. I placed $100. Yeah, it was probably, well, 100's quite a bit to put on for a game that could have been England by 20 as well. Like, it's probably a pretty ballsy call, but it might pay off here. Oh, this is awesome. Never cheer for Aussie. They're just cutting England up, says Studs Ray. And great to see Australia back at it. The thing is, now we should probably check the World Rugby rankings and see what kind of impact this could have. Because if Australia win this game by 15 or more, 16 or more, like, that's going to change some stuff in the world of rugby. Currently, the way that it sits, if I'm going to try and say words, right? But if Australia win this game by the margin they are at the moment, even if Australia just win this game, they knock England down to 7th in the world rankings. England would drop 5 positions. And then if the Australians win by 15 plus, England go to 8th in the rankings. They go down 5 spots. Australia would go up. They go down 3 spots, I think it is. Australia was 5 at the TAB, yeah. Like, they're big underdogs. England still have time, though, to come back into this game, and I think it will be a little bit seesawy for the last 25 minutes. So Aliti tries to make the tackle on Lawrence, who gets back up and goes again. And we have got, that's a big drop for England. Yeah, I think it would have to be their lowest in the rankings for quite some time, I would think. It's not going to desperate attack, shift its momentum. Now another penalty advantage, this time going the way of England. Marcus Smith with a great step, almost went through the gap. Not so good news if Springboks look against England, or lose against England, says Wampia Bosch. Yeah, it could be brutal. It would be similar in some regards, although England being the home side, they won't get as much of a boost. The All Blacks game must have really motivated the Wallabies because they're playing amazing. Yeah, Australia, with the exception of the first maybe 20 minutes, this is the best game we've seen from them. And to pop out back now, South Africa needs to go back to number 1. They are currently, as long as they beat Scotland, they will stay there as well. Now Marcus Smithy will kick this one towards the corner. England know that this is an important moment in the game and that they have to get points on the board, and a lot of them. But a try here would put them well and truly back in this contest. And from there, would they say momentum's with the English? Only being down by 3 if they get a converted try here. Luke Cow and Dickey. Make sure that he gets it right. If Suaalii comes in, Australia will be back to being a powerhouse, says Martin N. Yeah, he's had a really solid game at number 13. Me, Tarzan, you, Jane. $100 will turn into $700 tonight, which I'll use that money to buy my PlayStation 5 tomorrow, says Martin. It's a fair enough reasoning, I guess. And I like the thinking behind it, because a lot of people, when they win a lot, or like a decent amount, they end up trying to put it all in the next week and lose 90% of it. So I do like the fact that you're strategically being like, yeah, I'll get this. England going for the rolling maul. At the moment, I will mention by updating the time, it looks like it has also updated the score. Little kick in behind, and England score the try. This time, Ollie Slateholm. However, they're still early days. England are still in this. However, there, get the baby oil warmed up. Let's go. Says a Blues Nate there. No try, says Master Mal, but Ollie Slateholm may have just scored it for the English. Looks like there might be a bit of an injury in back play as well. Marcus Smith got some intensity about him. He's decided to call for the tee straight away. Australia being robbed. Says Master Mal. Roderick Smith has said England try and Southern superiority on the show. Gluck. Oh, good luck, Bocky. I wasn't sure what the word Gluck meant for a second. And the AB's XV jersey is better than the AB's. Says Manny M. A great try by the Poms. Yeah, just little chip in behind. And Slateholm's looked good since making his way onto the field. I'm not actually sure. I think he's still on now for Fiwa Bossa. He's pretty much just switching between being out on the wing and being in the centres at the moment. Marcus Smith got a little bit of a cut there next to the eye. I think it's why he did stay down, and he's missed it. So a 5-point difference between these two sides. 23 points to 28, but a great game of rugby so far. And now we're pretty much even in the odds. In fact, England are now back to favourites, ladies and gentlemen, even though Australia are up at the moment. And will Australia choke? Maybe. England 7th. I thought they were 9 or 10, says Kieran. So yeah, they dropped to, I think it's 8th. If they lost this game by 16, they'd drop to 8th. And then Australia would leapfrog to 7th. If they just lose this game, but not by more than 16, England will be 7th, Australia will be 8th. But then they'll close that gap quite nicely heading into their next games as well. Has there been any emotion shown by Borthwick in the coaching box? No, he's been stoic all throughout this game. What is the score? At the moment, it is 58 minutes in, 28 points to 23, and the crowd are singing once again. They're starting to find their voice, and the players get their momentum. Now, Gordon passes across to the left-hand side, going to Lena Katau. He's done a lot more of the running out of that centre pairing, but Suaalii, he's had some very important touches, getting a try assist earlier on. Now Gordon again, going to Harry Wilson. Rob Valentini gets the offload to Fraser McWright. Jorgensen has a bit of a juggle. Marcus Smith tackling round the chest. Amaro Atoje, all the penalties won. What's this for? It's a neck roll. Okay, I was wondering because Atoje was flattened out on the ground. LOH, how are you? Just logged in. What's been happening? Who scored? Says Wonga. So far for the Australians, we have seen 3 tries. 1 for Jeremy Williams, 1 for Tom Wright, and 1 for Harry Wilson. And then after that, the English, in terms of their tries, they've had 2 for Cunningham South and 1 for Ollie Slateholm. How fun would it be to start the Rugby Championship after the Autumn Series? Says Robert. It would be quite cool, though. I think that the players, it's quite cool having the Rugby Championship and then having the Six Nations at different times, just because then we get to see rugby all year round type of thing. Yawning, says Wayne. It is currently 5:40 a.m. here in New Zealand, and over the last 2 nights or so, I've probably had 5 hours sleep combined, so it's probably understandable for a yawn every once in a while. Brandon Payanga Amosa making his way onto the field alongside Lukan Salakaya Lotto. Or at least they're not too far away. And also Nick Ezekwe will make his way on for George Martin. Australia deserve to win this game. A board already, says Wayne. Quite the opposite. It's actually been a much better game than the one that we called yesterday. Will you be streaming around Christmas URC? Probably, I would think. I feel like we'll have some sort of stream happening around that time. It just kind of depends on who's playing as well and whereabouts I actually am. Because I think over New Year's I might not have streams just because I think I might be away. We have got there, come on the Wallabies, says Manny M, and for the Fjords, says Eribo, thrown in by Luke Cowan-Dickey. Nick Ezekwe taking it nicely. Marcus Smith now going back to the up and under. Tactic that we haven't seen too much from the English in the last little while. Nolalissio places the ball. England with the counter ruck. And that was very close to the touchline. And now they've managed to get the possession back here, England. They want to bring that momentum and a bit of intensity. Marcus Smith waiting for the loose ball. Alice Genge picks it up. Pins the ears back. Goes out to the side. The pass was in front of Dom Brandt. He is not happy with it. And they've got the option of either the scrum or the line out. Oh, what's your win prediction for this game? Honestly, like this game is still 50-50. In my opinion, I can't say footy or footage. I've had a beer every time you drink water. Stop it, says Robert. I've had a beer every time you drink water. Stop. I think I only had one drink, though, throughout this one. That wasn't the straightest line out ever, but it has worked out. Oh, Ben O'Keefe in the way of that one. And that means that England will end up with the possession. But Ben O'Keefe really wrong place, wrong time. But Australia win the penalty. No Barmy Army, says Sea Glider. See, I am going to be going to the New Zealand versus England test match. And we're going to get to see the Barmy Army, the travelling Barmy Army. There, George Ford not too far away. Oh, okay, the crowd are booing because they know that Marcus Smith is about to make his way off. And that is one of the first times I feel like George Ford has been booed by pretty much a whole stadium. Like in terms of home fans anyway. Right, Furbank's off for Ford, so Marcus Smith will stay on the field. Probably pretty harsh for George Furbank. He's had a very solid game from the back as well. Have you had your lentils today? I have not, no. Was I supposed to? I've never actually had lentils, so I haven't had my lentils for a lot of days. I put Marcus at 15. There's the knock-on advantage in favour of the Australians. Currently 62 minutes through this contest. Rolling this one back again. It will be George. Oh, no, sorry. It won't be George. It will be Harry Randall, I believe. Well, he's out there. Oh, that's an ugly one. Ollie Slateholm taken out. And he does not look good at the moment. Are you better bowl, Amish, or better at batting? Probably better at batting. My bowling's not great. I'm just not very consistent. Australia deserve a win here. Can they hold on? Marcus Smith is the Earl Rose of England rugby. And it isn't fair. The referee has taken England's side all the time. And this one, he's probably going to take England's side here. Jorgensen, yeah, Lukan Salakaia-Lotto. That is really dirty from that man. To come off the bench and do something like that could be the difference maker. I think he's going off for at least 10 minutes, if not longer, because he's pretty much cynically just taken a player out. Line of the ball. Nah, he changed his line massively there, Lukan Salakaia-Lotto. Never going up for the ball, as the Australian player was going up for it as well. But, yeah, really stupid from Lukan Salakaia-Lotto. The crowd are booing it. Ollie Slateholm looks like he's going to try and continue. He's holding his jaw at the moment. Did the crowd make a mistake with their booing, thinking Marcus Smith was coming off? To be fair, Furbank hasn't been too bad either, so they could have been booing just for George Ford in general. But Jake Gordon now going off for Tate McDermott. This is a good sub for the Australians. Gordon, he struggled a little bit out there on the field, but McDermott in that little time where the blood bin was taking place actually led to Australia's first try. It might have actually been their second try. No card seems light, says Thuds there. And now the rolling maul for the English. They will be sitting about 15 metres out from the line. Breaking off the back is Luke Cowan-Dickey. Dragged down by his opposite number, Brandon Paianga Amosa. Cutting himself, having a bit of a wrestle there with Rob Valentini. Bit of off the ball stuff happening. Nice run from Ollie Lawrence. That was a really dumb offload, though. He's tried to offload to a man who was joining the breakdown. McDermott almost lined up, but there should be a knock-on advantage at the moment for Australia. Desperate D says Mr. All-In. Edge of the sofa stuff says Sea Glider. Yeah, it's going to be a last-minute thriller, I have a feeling, for these two sides. 16 minutes remaining. And that was forward, says Wayne. McDermott goes across to Harry Wilson. Luke Cowan-Dickey almost getting over. No yellow card so far. Yep, none at all throughout this game. Is this live, says Derek. At the moment, 64 minutes through. Little kick him behind. That was not the best one. Didn't go anywhere near the touchline. And now Tommy Freeman, 12 metres out from the line here. England with another chance to strike. Oh, Harry Wilson might have knocked himself out on Itoje's knee. He is not good, Wilson. He will be gone for the rest of this game, I would think. And Australia may have already made their sub. In fact, no, who have they got in the loose forward trio? Someone else can still go on, but Harry Wilson, he will struggle to get back to his feet. Australia don't have to roll, as it was called as a maul. Oh, that's a big call. So Australia pretty much held up the rolling maul. I think it got called as a maul. Wilson was down on the far side. And then when Australia managed to keep that rolling maul trapped, Ben O'Keefe then went back for Harry Wilson's HIA and gave England the scrum. Langy Gleeson, he will make his way on, though. They hadn't made that sub as of yet. But, yeah, if that one wasn't called as a maul, or was called as a maul, then they've probably got very lucky that they've got the scrum feed rather than the Aussies. Wilson looks like Sam Cane. And come on, Aussie, says Harlem. England took their best player off last week. Clever. Ball got to the ground, so maul becomes a ruck. Says Studs, yeah, it's whether or not he called it. If he called it as a maul, I think the Aussie commentators were saying it was a maul. So I just took their word for it. But, yeah, if it got to the ground, it was just back to a ruck, which then you could almost say that Australia could have been penalised for not rolling in that case. Huge call, says Dean. And we have got there, come on, Australia in it. And England versus the Box next weekend. They better practice their moves, says Stefan. What's Twickenham's new name? Allianz Stadium. So it's the same as what one of the Australian stadiums is actually called. I think it's the Waratahs Stadium is Allianz. In Australia, we got ourselves another scrum reset. Still 15 minutes remaining in this contest and a close one between the two sides. At the moment, the odds are suspended in terms of the TAB. I was hoping to be able to see what the line was looking like. What's your win prediction between South Africa and Scotland? I haven't actually thought up one yet, if I'm being honest. Like, we are going to have our preview for that game coming out tomorrow, or actually it's later on today, probably in about 12, 13 hours, somewhere around there. We'll be a little bit later than we should have been with it, but we just haven't had time to really do it, unfortunately. Going off the back, Ben Earl to the short side. That's going to be tricky. Slate-Home goes straight into touch. There was just no space for him. And great defence from the Australians. Don't stop playing, Australia. You got this, says Shane. And South Africa to win. Says Salah in there. Australian defence is looking good now. And it was something that they struggled with throughout the Rugby Championship, but it was just the wrong decision from Ben Earl to pass one more. He should have cut back inwards. Bayern Munich Stadium is Allianz Arena too, says Gus. And best Aussie performance I've seen in a while. Well done, Wallabies, for bringing the heat. Says Anthony. Brandon Poyanga Mosa throws it in. Nicely taken by Lukan Sadako. Rough pass from McDermott. It was down at the ankles of Valentini, but he has taken it well. Could have been a lot worse. Now sitting 5 metres out from the line. I thought for a second Rob Valentini also took a bit of a head knock there. I want to watch the live pitches, not some dude commentating. Then you will have to buy the licensing to be able to watch it through a subscription, whether that's Stan or Sky Sport or Super Sport. There are many options for being able to watch it. England decide to take this one quickly. Marcus Smith has numbers to his left-hand side. Moving up to the 22. Good tackle made again by Andrew Callaway. Now Don Brandt, though, has Smith with him. Skip pass, and it's another try for England. coming at the perfect time. Slate Holmes scores his second. And that will make the score now 28-28. These Englishmans are destroying my chance to have a PlayStation 5 with their try, says Martin. Valentini here protecting his head. And Wallabies playing good footy, says Manny M. Yeah, although the last kind of 10 minutes or so has completely shifted in terms of the momentum. If he wants to watch the game live, then he must turn on the telly, says Justin there. But yeah, it's very hard to find a free broadcast of the game that's not an illegal one. Like I mentioned, the TAB here in New Zealand actually do have it, which is quite cool to see, which means maybe Bet365 or something like that in Australia might also have the rights for it. Marcus Smith, a very important kick now, ladies and gents. But Slate Home gets 2. Cunningham South has 2 as well. And Marcus Smith, they did great to leave him on the field. He's only got 5 seconds to line up this kick. And he does use as much time as he can. He brings it round and gets the kick over, 30 points to 28. And Australia now dropped to $3.50. In fact, $4.20 underdogs here. This is going to be the big moment. The next maybe 5 or so minutes. Can Australia stop the English who have scored back-to-back tries in just the last little bit of time? Who scored for England? 2 for Cunningham South and 2 for Slate Home, including that most recent one for Ollie Slate Home as well. Now Harry Randall will roll it back. Slate Home looks like his parents are cousins. Quite a brutal insult, isn't it? Now all passing out wide. It's gone over the top of Len Ikatel. Finds Max Jorgensen. 40 metres out from the line. Marawa Toje wants to counter ruck. And he's working hard for it. But now he's lost his footing. Okay. So Ben O'Keefe just said to Dan Cole, "You're fine, just don't come through." Dan Cole then just went straight through. But interesting. Now Nolalicio. Good tackle made there in the midsection from Nick Ezekwe. Don't kick Australia at this HIA rate. All players will have to play with head protection. Do you guys, with dollars on Oz, have a cash out option? Reckon things are swung again. The problem now is, though, their cash out option won't be worth anywhere near as much as it was 10 minutes ago. Like, maybe 10 minutes ago, if you had, for instance, $100 on them, you might have been able to cash out for $300, somewhere around there, maybe. I'm not too sure of how big the odds there are in that regard. Seems like that other bloke's PS5 purchase from his winnings might not be happening anymore, says Boxkey. Although knock on there from both sides. So we will have a scrum feed now for the Australians. But not a lot of time remaining here. $3.50 underdogs Australia currently do sit. Are you live with the South African game? We certainly are. As well as the match beforehand. Although I'm still debating whether to do Fiji versus Wales or do All Blacks XV up against the Georgians, since it is a little bit earlier. I appreciate your commentary. Kiwi in the Netherlands can't afford to pay to view, says David. Well, we do appreciate you being here. It must be, if I'm right about the Netherlands time zone, is it currently 6:50-ish there, David, or is it behind in terms of the time? Do let me know. But yeah, thank you very much for being here. We are covering a lot of the internationals on the channel. Ben Donaldson now making his way onto the field for the Australians. Thought on an Oz drop goal, 1 point win, Amish. Could happen. Ben Donaldson, not normally too bad with his drop kicks. Cash out at 68 or 65 pounds. How much did you have on them, Roderick, to start with? Was it 100? All right, that's probably not too bad, but then saying that, there's still a chance that they can come back just before 17 hours, 12 hours difference. Oh, okay, so currently closer to 6 at the moment. 10 minutes is too easy to think about that a drop goal win, though, in my opinion. The best Australian can do is moving up to 7, England down to 8. Then Australia must double their score. Says WJ, yeah, even just getting a win here for the Australians will drop England. I think it's about 3 places, or 2 places it might be, actually. So they've actually gone upstairs for that one, and they're given England the scrum feed. The TMO has looked at it. He's found that England did not knock the ball on. Instead, it was knocked free, and then Australia knocked the ball on, which then brought this scrum. £50. Oh, so your cash out's probably not too bad in that regard. For the Australians, big push there from England. They will have another scrum reset. One drop goal penalty away by Australia from having my PS5 TMO Bull. Says Spider Mech. A PS5 cheap with 5-finger discount. A big call. Says Mr. All-In. And there have been a couple huge ones in the last little while. I think England will definitely be looking to get themselves a scrum penalty here and kick it over the post, listening from Chile as well, or in Chile, I should say. Great commentary. Looks like England have it, says John Yates. Welcome in. Yeah, I feel like the last 10 minutes has been pretty much all England. We're starting to see a lot less of the Australian running game. They haven't really had much going their way either. Currently on the halfway line, Harry Randall looking for the little chip in behind, considering the 50-22, but of course they did take it back. Max Jorgensen goes across to Tom Wright, who decides to run this ball, passes off to Tate McDermott, off to Donaldson, who will now look to kick this one downfield. That is a brilliant kick from just inside of his 50, or sorry, his 22, I should say. Here comes Marcus Smith again. He's been an X-factor in this game. Jorgensen makes the shot on him, 40 metres from their line now. New Zealand already won. And if I've got Fiji and went against my own team for Scotland to return 2.7k, says Roderick Smith there. Oh, okay, so it's a multi that you've got. That's why it's got the bigger cash out. That's going to be back now. Ben Donaldson. Going to Andrew Callaway. Can't get away from cutting himself. A fluke, I would say, listening from South Africa as well. So we are, of course, going to be covering the Springboks game up against the Scottish tomorrow. That is going to be a massive one. I'd say, we've had a lot of HAAs in this game. I think we're going to see quite a few in that game as well. There's going to be some big hits. Nicely taken by George Ford, who's tackled again by Jorgensen. He's had to make a lot of tackles since making his way onto the field only recently. As Italy and Argentina playing at 4:30, playing at it's 43 minutes time that they are going to be playing. Kicked high by Randall again. This one at the back, nicely claimed by McDermott. A little bit of extra pressure coming in from Ollie Slater. I wouldn't mind a hat trick to close out this game. England, come on, my bet doesn't have a cash out. Says PMA there. What time is South Africa Scotland game tomorrow? Oz time, says Harlem. So that will be taking place. I believe it's 3:10 a.m. for you guys in Australia. So it kicks off at 5:10 a.m. New Zealand time, I believe. Dermott has to get rid. Says Ben O'Keefe. On towards the touchline. Beautifully taken again by George Ford. Don't kick it, Australia, says Harry Hone. Yeah, if they're going to give it back to England, eventually the English will get a penalty and they'll kick over the 3 and it will become a try needed for the Australians. Harry Randall, though, he will once again go to the kicking option. Oh, charged down, though, by Lukan Salakaia-Lotto, who also crushes the young halfback in the process. Depends where in Australia, says Daryl Roberts. It certainly does. Depends on the time zone. Of course, Perth, it will be a little bit different. An offside ref, he cannot come forward. Both anthems tomorrow will be epic. I reckon I'll cash out after tonight, says Roderick Smith. And we have got there 6 p.m. South African time, I believe. Yep, somewhere close to that for you guys in South Africa. I think they've gone rather than 6 o'clock per se and 5:30 and whatnot. They've decided to go with 10-minute increments past the rounded number. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind it, but these games for us here in New Zealand, they're all this one was 4:10, then the next one kicks off at 6:40 and then 9:10. It seems to be that 30-minute gap. Tom Curry, he's got his English beanie on, but he did fail his HIA, so he will not be playing next week up against South Africa. There are still 6 minutes to play in this one. Anyone who is new, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We are back with plenty more action tomorrow. Rugby League, brother, says Harehone. Of course, we are going to see New Zealand versus Papua New Guinea, a massively important one for New Zealand. If they lose that, they lose their right to be in the championship of the Rugby League Internationals. They would instead be in the bowl, which is the other competition. Nicely taken by England for their rolling maul. And once again, if they can find a penalty advantage somewhere here, I put $10,000 on England to win. What were they paying C9 at the time that you put it on them? Now, another loose ball picked up by Australia. and Andrew Callaway. It will be a foot race and he will win the foot race. Australia score and take the lead with 5 to go. Mistake made by England. The pass wasn't great. Hang on. I hear Ben O'Keefe talking to the TMO. They will check something. In this case, I would say. And sure, someone said something about the counter-attack and tried to unsears Grant. Oh my goodness. They're checking everything that they can here. And just a rough pass. Lawrence, it was behind him. Passed it and goes straight. Oh, I think it was George Ford who threw the pass. Or it might have been Henry Slade. No, it was George Ford, but there was a shot a little bit high on him from Rob Valentini. And I don't know if they're going to try and check that, but it sounds like it's going to be cleared in the Aussies. They will now have the lead. Ben O'Keefe, he's saying that England can't charge too early. That kick has gone over. A 5-point lead now. 15,000 if they win. Well, now they need another try. And BS says Spider Mech and give the try. And no try, he's in an offside position, says Scott Bowie. And also Australia's on a Grand Slam tour. Took them 57 years to win their first in 1984 and none since then. But England now have got the ball back off the kickoff. This game is not done, ladies and gents. Because a converted try here for the English would win it. A draw is certainly doesn't need both of them, but it's on the cards. It's going to be kicked in behind. Tom Wright has to clean it up, and he takes the ball in the in-goal area. It's a 5-metre scrum for England. They put a 10k bet on England to win, Dan boy. I tell you what, it could still pay. It's going to be some nervous fans, though. 3 minutes remaining. What a game we have seen between these two sides. Been right down to the wire. Marcus Smith has been the X-Factor. He took a big shot there for his troubles. They're going to be 5 metres out from the line. The English scrum, I think they've had a little bit of an advantage throughout this game. I mean, a pushover try, penalty try would be massive for England because then they wouldn't have to worry about the conversion. Marcus Smith, he's just taken a big shot. George Ford will not want that last-minute kick. Australia, what no way, says Lillian. Betting sites going crazy now. Yeah, I think a lot of them have suspended because of the fact that it could literally go either way for the final few moments. Ball is fed in by England off the back. Ben Earl, couple metres from the line. It's stripped, but it's still there. Was that a knock-on from the English? There might have been. Just a little fumble. Whoopsies, I hit my desk. Cowan Dickey, Australia relentless with their defence. An advantage, though, going against them. So England can throw everything at this with their forwards. And they are in the prime position. 2 minutes remaining. New penalty advantage. Atoje is over. And that is now the try. A kick to come which could win them the game. And if it misses, there's a chance for the draw. Still 2 minutes remaining. But Maro Atoje, I'll be honest, we've hardly seen him today. But the moment that we've finally seen him is the moment that might have just secured the deal for the English here. But the crowd, they don't know who to cheer for at the moment. They don't know what to expect for the final 90 seconds. Was there the knock-on? I called it from the get-go that I felt like there was one there from Tommy Freeman. There could be the argument that there was, but I don't think they've looked at it. In fact, I don't know if they can... Oh, no, they can go back far enough for it. And WTF, unbelievable second half and tackle and scrum hard. Are they going to check it? They are not. So it is 35-35. Shot clock at 10 seconds for Marcus Smith. If this kick goes over, England have the lead. He's almost just about got it over Marcus Smith inside of the side. The right-hand side, that was. It almost hit the post, almost did a George Ford. But that'll make the score 37 points to 35. But was there a little juggle of the ball? Kicking off short for the Aussies. Suaalii goes up. Atoje has dropped it, but it's gone. Oh, it's a knock-on. And Australia now have one last chance. They only need a penalty. I love this last-minute drama, says Lilia B. This has been... In fact, I'm going to call it now. I don't think we're going to get a game better than this weekend in terms of drama, in terms of intensity. 37-35. It's been right down to the wire. Australia had a 2-point lead at halftime. They are now down by 2 with only 8 seconds left on the clock. You can't see this, but it sounds far out. Says Derek, yeah, it's about 42 metres from the line here. And Australia hurry up and score, says Martin. One of the games of the year, says Dion. Yeah, both of these sides have just brought a different style to what we normally see from England anyway. They have gone a lot more attacking. Marcus Smith has been the ringleader in terms of that backline and really has controlled this game for them. For the Australians, there have been players who have stepped up. McDermott, when he got that little moment, making his way off the bench for the blood bin. You know, he managed to get that nice bit of impact, helped get the assist. Damn, Hamish. If we do get a milk kick, says Mr. All-In, and Australia do something, says Conga there, and try a drop goal, or drop goal, says Harry Honey. Either way, in a penalty, they would win this game, the Aussies. They have now scrummed hard. Someone's been flipped up on their head. It's going to be a scrum reset. He's put in the Springboks tomorrow, says Firelight game. We will try our best to call it straight down the middle, but that is going to be a pretty awesome game between South Africa and Scotland. Alana Latoa is bleeding at the moment. They've decided, yeah, just both going down for Ben O'Keefe. Come on, South Africa. Why is the time wrong, says Katzenel, because it's quick. But it's not a mile off, because at the end of the day, we're past 80 minutes and they're still playing. So I don't think it's the end of the world. Currently 81 and a half minutes through in this contest. Next stoppage will end this game. And McDermott puts it in. McDermott going to the left. Ikitau, they're 40 metres out. George Ford makes the tackle. Do Australia look at all for a drop kick here, or do they just keep on running? Ben Earl looking for the turnover, making it awkward. Did McDermott get it? England trying to get the turnover, but they have to release. And it's still there for the Wallabies. Alan Alatoa, he isolated himself. Dan Cole, the ball has popped out again, and there's an advantage for a knock-on. If England kill this ball, legally, that will be the end of the game. But the hardest part is doing it without giving away the penalty. They've got the advantage for the knock-on, so there is a chance they could consider a drop goal, but I believe if they went for a drop goal, that would take the scrum advantage and it would disappear. McDermott goes back across to Brandon. Payanga, Amosa, a lot of tired bodies out there on the field for both of these sides. Joseph Suali'i, his first carry since about 50 minutes in this game. Valentini runs it straight at the youngster Finn Baxter. Now again going off to the left-hand side, Brandon Payanga Mosa, quick hands there from Australia. Len Ikitau puts in the fend, gets the ball to Jorgensen. He's got plenty of pace and will score it in the corner. Australia will win the game, and the Wallabies, as massive underdogs, have pulled off one of their biggest wins in recent times. 83 minutes in, and the Wallabies get the job done. Oh, hang on, TMO. They're just checking this by the sounds of it. They're checking it. Or Marcus Smith has injured himself as well by the looks of it. The play on at scrum should be full time. And come on, says question marks there. No way, says Juan-Pierre Bosch. And on the buzzer says Blues Nate there. Are we entertained or what? Says Sighted. Yeah, going for the risk out wide. Jorgensen, though, where did that pace come from? Well, to be fair, he was racing a hooker, so it's always going to be a little bit more lopsided. But 40 points up against the English with one more conversion to come. Celebrates, looks at the camera, the youngster. And what a game, says J-Mac. Yeah, game of the weekend secured already. I don't think it can top what has happened between these two sides throughout 80 minutes. It's been insane. 42 points to 37. The Wallabies celebrate. I feel sorry for England. Well, that's the thing. Like, both of these sides, you could argue, once again, like England, that's 2 weeks in a row that they could have won a game and they've missed out. So, like, they will be they'll be gutted. And they've got a game, I believe, next week. They are going to be taking on South Africa, so it doesn't get any easier. But narrow margins at the moment for them. So it is certainly an interesting one. I'm getting a call at the moment. I wonder if he knows that I am live. It is Tim, Rugby Itch. You guys, of course, will know him. One moment. I will quickly go like this and go like that. I don't know if I can hear Tim. Oh, come on my stream if you can, says Tim in there as well. So we will go over to that in a short moment. And great performance from the Aussies. And there for the question marks. And what a game. Yeah, it's been a phenomenal game from both of these sides. Like, Australia to be down by the margin that they were, to then go up and get themselves the victory. Both teams have played their hearts out. Yeah, like, I know that this one will be gutting for the English, but like, they've gone out there and they've just gone for it throughout the 80 minutes, and they'll be gutted. Like I said, like, once again, could have been close. How long left? Their game is now over. See you tomorrow for South Africa versus Scotland, says Slang. I do apologise for you losing your bet. Hopefully, hopefully it wasn't everything. Does this mean the Rugby Championship is better than the Six Nations? Says the official. I think that people are going to definitely debate it for a long time. I think that people will debate a couple of the tries that were scored throughout this game. You know, that one in the corner for Jeremy Williams, that in the end was the difference maker. We saw the English try that came back, which possibly involved the knock-on. There were plenty of big moments. Which is all over, mate. It certainly is. 'Tis the end of the game, and the Aussies have got themselves their first win. Joseph Suaalii, he'll be sitting there going, this stuff's easy. I've come in, and they've won their first match. England will drop in the rankings for sure. They certainly do. So England now, in the world rankings, they drop from 5th to 7th. Australia go up to 8th from 9th. And then, in terms of what else can happen, I mean, Scotland get upgraded to 6th. Argentina are upgraded to 7th, but they are still playing up against the Italians in a short moment. This game was honestly a lot more exciting than Ireland versus All Blacks game earlier. I 100% agree. I feel like a much different style of rugby was played between these two sides, but one thing's for sure, it was entertaining from start to finish. I've been secretly rooting for Australia this year, says Stephen. Would you have stayed secretly rooting for them had they lost this game, Stephen? Was it just that they won that now it's that you're publicly rooting for them? Because now that you've said it, you've got to keep rooting for them. And a load of England out of form. Australia put 40 points past us. England, a home no fortress, and super happy for Australia, says 9HD. And well done, Australia. Love from South Africa. I knew it. Says Pepper Stone. Whoever bet $10,000 on this game is crazy. 1/5 of his salary is gone. Although that might have been 10,000 Rand, which I think is still about the same as your $100 bet that we saw. We have got there, Rugby Itch, just trying to get hold of you. I was on his channel right now. Says Roz, yeah, he did mention about going on for a post-match review. But then I'm not sure if he's still live or not, but we are not too far away from finishing this one. Australia need the win. Super stoked for them, says Warren, and well done, Australia, says Theo. The wildcard will be losing his mind. He certainly will be. I feel like that will be a very interesting video that we do see there. I told you guys I don't need to cash out. I told you guys that Australia will win ever since he purchased a rugby league player. It was quite lucky, though, wasn't it, Martin? Like, be honest, you were very nervous, I would assume, throughout those closing moments. Definitely when it was going to the scrums. Like, Australia haven't really won a scrum today. So, it was a risky one, but they managed to get it done, get it out wide, and managed to get themselves the win. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. You all being here for this one. Of course, we have got plenty more coming tomorrow. We are covering Scotland versus the Springboks. We are doing either Wales versus Fiji or the ABZXV taking on the Welsh. But thank you all very much for tuning in, and I will see you all for the next one.